Okay, Spectrum News in 90 seconds. Hi there once again. I'm Eric Levy. Thank you for staying with us for live in-depth team coverage of Tropical Storm Nicole wreaking havoc all across the state. The storm made landfall as a weak Category 1 hurricane after it was a strong tropical storm for most of the day. Yesterday, it is now a tropical storm once again. Look at the power flashes in the sky, though. More than 1,200 flights have been canceled just today as a result of the storm. Daring water rescue in Brevard County. Take a look at this. You saw this as it happened during the morning with me and Ebeth. This all happening in Cocoa. The man was plucked from a boat that had become unanchored. He is okay. Major hazards on the highways and byways today. We've been seeing standing water, and we've been seeing this. Trees down, many roads blocked. You'll want to just stay home until the storm is cleared out of the way and they can get a lot of the mess fixed and removed. All right, let's find out what's happening with the weather. And we'll head to the Weather Center right now and talk with our certified weather experts. It is dual certified Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick and Maureen McCann.
And Eric, the images you were just showing were from downtown Orlando, tree damage that we actually had, and tree damage that is being done because we've got some strong winds that are still wrapping around the system. And on Klystron 13, Maureen, it looks like we're getting into some heavier rain sliding back into parts of Lake and Sumter County.
Yeah, this is all because of the circulation around Nicole with the flow coming in from the west and southwest, so pushing some of that rain along the I-75 corridor. This is nowhere near the intensity of earlier, but still we have a tropical storm, and with winds over 39 miles per hour registered recently in Leesburg. This is the type of activity we're still seeing on the western side of the peninsula. Some lighter rain in Flagler County, but still so many impacts there at the coast after the tide cycle this morning with all that beach erosion, but at least the rain is not going to be a contributing factor to any flooding.
Yeah, and so we still have Tropical Storm Nicole with winds sustained to 50 miles per hour. The good news is that it's rolling to the northwest, or I should say the west-northwest, at a fairly rapid pace, 16 miles per hour. Eric, the storm right now centered over the Citrus and Hernando County line, about ready to push along the west coast up toward the Nature Coast, the Big Bend, and tonight it's up into Georgia.
Goodness, it's getting farther and farther away from us, and we don't have to talk about well, the storm itself anymore, but unfortunately we will be talking about the damage for some time. As we had mentioned, it made landfall overnight. We normally would say while you slept, but you probably didn't sleep because of the noise from the storm. It was a Category 1 storm when it made landfall 2 hours south. So we want to continue our team coverage during the lunchtime hour and look at what the strongest winds and heavy rain did. Of course, we want to show you how quickly water levels rose. We have some video from Wilbur by the sea showing water in someone's backyard yesterday and then today. Significant increases in water, and this is something that we do not need to see at all because of all the rain that we saw from Hurricane Ian. The storm has unfortunately turned deadly as well. 2 people died after being electrocuted. Video showing crews rushing to the Conway area. According to the director of the Florida Department of Emergency Management, Kevin Guthrie, he reminded us and mentioned the dangers of power lines being down. You just never know with those lines. Let's listen to what he had to say.
Do not touch or drive over down power lines or stay in areas of standing water. This can cause deadly electrocution.
The best thing to do if you do encounter a power line that is across the road or in your yard, call the power company. Do not try to move it yourself. That is most important. But as soon as the wind gets to a safer speed, you know the power companies will be out restoring the thousands of customers that do not have electricity now at 12:04. Volusia County, one of the coastal areas, seeing some heavy damage hours after the storm made landfall, again down on the Treasure Coast. So we want to get to our reporters that have been out in some of the worst of the storm. Spectrum News 13's Asher Wildman joins us at Wilbur at the sea, Wilbur by the sea, that is, and we showed you those pictures just a little while ago of the water encroaching on those yards. Asher, what are you seeing right now this afternoon?
Eric, we're seeing a lot of homes, sadly, that have succumbed to Tropical Storm Nicole and in the water. Okay, so this house right next to me, off South Atlantic in Wilbur by the Sea, let's just pan so you can understand the severity of the situation for not just this home, but several others. This is about where the garage goes, and then right to the end there, that home, it's gone. It's in the water. Look behind me down the walkway here. A big giant portion of this is gone. I was told from the homeowner he had about 75 feet before Hurricane Ian between his home and the dunes and the water. But when you look inside his home now, I was able to go inside with this homeowner. We literally could only go inside the front door because at about 6-7 feet after that, you look down, that's where the house is. The roof is what you're looking at in that video when you first come into the home. The rest of the house is several feet below. Now, it's not just this home. I was told by one of the property managers here for Wilbur by the Sea that 7 homes have fallen in from erosion. And here's the key thing. This was a very unique situation than what we saw down in Fort Myers and even in Central Florida where we had flooding. In Fort Myers, it was that surge. Yes, we had surge here at the Atlantic coast, but it was so much erosion following Hurricane Ian that they just did not have enough time to either correct things, fix things, get things in place. And this is ultimately what, in fact, happened here in Wilbur by the Sea. All right, so Chris, just kind of how many properties you have out here or manage, and what are we dealing with?
Yeah, so I manage 130 properties, 25 of which are on land side, so our team is over there checking on those. These 3 are the most significantly damaged right now. These 3 in a row in Wilbur by the Sea. 2 have basically collapsed into the ocean. The middle house is holding on. We really hope that house holds on, but it's not looking very good. A lot of noise happening over there. We have another house in the shores I'm going to go check on in just a few, and then Ormond by the Sea, as well as Palm Coast, where we have beachfront homes that we're concerned about, but these are the worst.
A lot of things we were hearing was that the infrastructure was really impacted after Hurricane Ian, and the reality was just things couldn't get done in time, correct?
Yeah, so when Ian hit, that was obviously shocking to the water to have raised so much, and it compromised all of our seawalls and took away a lot of our sea dunes. And then we had a king tide, so our tide has not receded since Ian, so the water's just been pounding, continuing to compromise. No one could rebuild, no one could fix it, and then the trifecta being Nicole come in, and when I show you what's behind this door, it is still this late into the day pummeling these houses, and we are not done with this yet. We fully anticipate a significant continued loss.
That was my next. So what do you think is next for these homes, or are they going to be demoed, and do you build higher? Do you build more seawall?
Honestly, they should build on stilts, maybe? No. So I think that it's going to change the infrastructure and the landscape of this area. Until the water recedes, I don't know how much we can do, but we are certainly going to be pushed back. I'm sure flood zones are going to change. I'm sure the zoning rules are going to change. So this is going to be several years for us to recuperate. I'm highly concerned about the condos. They evacuated, I believe, 12 condos. They physically made people leave the units. It wasn't an optional. And I went and looked at some of those. Their seawalls have also collapsed. People's gone. And I think the infrastructure there, it's those big, tall buildings being so close to the ocean. I have major concerns about if they're going to let those people return home.
And then, Chris, lastly, just for me, how much space did this property have from the house to typically where the water normally is?
So 160 feet. We had, actually, and even more, because once we lost the back of the house, that's probably another 20 feet, so 180 feet. We had 20 feet of house, 60 feet of backyard, and then a walkway down to a very nice, calm walkway down to the ocean, which was about 100 feet out to the water. So this was an area that I would ride my bike. You could drive on our beaches normally, and that is not the case now.
Eric, as you can imagine, very serious situation out here. Reporting live in Volusia County, Asher Wildman for Spectrum News.
All right, Asher, thank you very much. Certainly wish those people the best that are dealing with the damage out there. We want to check in as we head to break with our certified meteorologist once again, get an update as we follow the progression of the exit of Nicole. There's certified chief meteorologist Brian Carrick.
Yes, Eric, that's the key here. Exit, as Nicole is now sitting on our Gulf Coast on the Citrus and Hernando County line, but the damage is done. And some impressive images that you've been seeing here on Spectrum News 13. So what does the rest of our afternoon hold? The very latest timing and when we can say goodbye to Nicole, coming up with Weather in the Winds.
Central Florida is a community where people quickly become connected with one another.
When you watch your evening news, you'll see a reflection of yourself, your issues, your neighborhood.
And I hope by seeing our stories, people become better informed and inspired to be involved in our communities.
We're stronger together, and I feel lucky to be able to call this home. Join us for your evening news on Spectrum News 13 and on the Spectrum News app.
Alpizar Law has proudly served Brevard County for over 40 years. Our commitment to every client is shown by our dedication to offering the best legal representation. Alpizar Law is also committed to giving back to our community. We've seen the difference a single act of kindness can make in someone else's life. Whether you have a personal injury claim or are one of our many local charities, join us in our continued effort to make Brevard a place we are all proud to call home. Alpizar Law, we're here for you.
At Wycott Realtors Homeowners Properties, the personal touch from our real estate professionals is more important than ever.
Finding them the absolute perfect unicorn property. It's such a win. I love to do it because I love the connection with the people.
You know, many people have saved for many, many years to do this, and it's a good feeling to be a part of it.
I love what I do, and when they are happy, I'm happy. So when I give the keys of our house and they smile, that's everything for me.
Our family, serving yours.
I had a spot on my arm that wouldn't heal, so I called the Dermatology Institute.
The Dermatology Institute of Brevard with Dr. Cynthia Howson, board-certified dermatologist, treating a wide variety of skin conditions. Dr. Howson personally supervises all care.
Here at the Institute, we study, diagnose, and treat all skin problems, giving people their confidence back.
Now my grandkids are all I worry about.
The Dermatology Institute of Brevard, skin care for the whole family.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Gary Yeomans Ford. The lowest pricing and largest selection. Florida says, go Yeomans.
Here at 12:11 on a Thursday, I'm Brian Carrick with Maureen McCann. Still watching Nicole as it gets closer to our west coast and an exit pulling away but leaving the damage behind. Let's take you up to Flagler County. Going to start with a couple of pictures coming in from the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. This is the A1A in Flagler Beach. You may recall if you were here during Hurricane Matthew, that storm actually took out big chunks of the A1A, a rapid fix, and unfortunately taking a beating from Ian just 43 days ago. And the surge and the high waves, they really pounded the coastline, and this is the end result. Again, the A1A washed out. We've also been pushing water to where it doesn't belong. That is the definition of a flood. Water where it doesn't belong. Sure enough, that's what we had here at South Daytona from Keith, as the storm is still producing some rain in Volusia County. We'll get over to Klystron 13 in a minute. Mention, here we go, the center of circulation now pushing just off the coast of Citrus and Hernando counties, moving to the west-northwest at 16 with winds to 50 miles per hour. The extent of our tropical storm force winds, 345 miles. So everybody in Central Florida is still experiencing those strong winds. As a matter of fact, recent gusts that have been over 40 to 45 miles per hour, almost 50 miles per hour, Leesburg, Orlando, and Sanford. Elsewhere, those gusts close to 30 at times. Wind-driven rain in spots, especially as we take you over, show you what we've got going on here in Sumter County, Lake County. Batch of some heavy rain that is being driven north on that strong wind. So Bushnell down over the Green Swamp, then back over into western sections of Lake County. That is where we're contending with some of that wind-driven rain. The wind's still howling here in Sanford as well. Listed.com, Cam, by the way, it is showing that we've had a few palm trees taken down by that wind in the saturated ground. Throughout the afternoon, though, you've noticed big breaks in Klystron 13. That will be the case. Our evening will be a mainly dry evening with some spotty showers wrapping in. Same thing through the first part of our overnight. I'll keep a shower threat in Marion County as well as Sumter County through tomorrow morning. Rain coverage, though, is going down. Eric, tomorrow afternoon, breezy, lower 80s. Saturday, dry low 80s. A cold front comes through without any fanfare. Check out the high on Sunday, 75 degrees with all kinds of sunshine.
Good things come to those who wait, Brian. Thank you very much. Sure. And of course, you know, we have been dealing with a lot of flooding in areas that we don't need it. It was 6 weeks ago when Hurricane Ian moved through, caused all that flooding in Seminole County. Here we go again. Lots of, well, if you want to call it, anxiety from the storm. Spectrum News 13's Rebecca Turco along Wild Hog Road. What are you seeing, Rebecca?
Hey, Eric. Well, we are seeing flooding here in Astor in Lake County to the point where sheriff's deputies were actually here just a few minutes ago. They closed down this road, so we're in ankle-deep water. It's even worse further down. But here's what I want to show you. See that yellow house there in the distance? And actually, you can see it's knee-deep water where that woman's walking. But that yellow house, a sheriff's deputy tells me that's actually the St. Johns River line. So obviously, homes in that area, when the river flooded, they were the ones that were pummeled. Less as they make our way here. I can tell you this ankle-deep water that we're standing in now, this was water that was not here yesterday. So we're working to get some numbers from Lake County. We can tell you that Astor is out of power at this point. So we'll bring you new details when we get them. Reporting live in Astor, Rebecca Turco, Spectrum News.
All right, thanks, Rebecca. Let's head over to Flagler County now, get an update on the Flagler Beach Pier. Spectrum News 13's Nick Popham's been watching the pier and also some erosion going on.
Yeah, that's right. And thankfully, the pier has been able to withstand a lot of what Nicole threw at her. It's been a lot of this erosion that's taking place along A1A, which you mentioned earlier. You can take a look behind me here. Some of the crews that continue to work along A1A, putting some of this new dirt down to create a foundation for the road. Once again, that got swept away by the Atlantic Ocean because of Nicole. You can see down the road over here by my left just how many crews are working and just the debris that they got to deal with. I mean, they're digging up a lot of that road that was swept away by Nicole, and you can see that this is not going to be an easy process, but thankfully they were able to come here relatively quickly. I mean, as soon as the sun was up, we were seeing crews work on this roadway, which is pretty incredible just to see a lot of the work they've done. But what I want to talk about as well is just what some of these buildings have been able to withstand. I mean, a lot of these strong winds have come through here, and we've seen a lot of strong winds recently, but this building that's been around since the 1950s was able to stay upright and stay strong throughout this entire storm. So it's pretty incredible seeing just some of the buildings and the infrastructure that's been able to withstand what Nicole threw at her, while others have been able to succumb to what has taken place. It's something that we're going to continue to monitor throughout the rest of this afternoon. I believe it's afternoon. It's been a long morning. So we'll send it back to you in the studio, reporting live from Flagler Beach. I'm Nick Popham.
Okay, Nick Popham, thank you very much. Let's go now to Brevard County, where there was that daring rescue of a man from a boat that had become unanchored. We showed that to you. Will Robinson-Smith talked to the man. Will.
Yeah, just a dramatic water rescue that we saw unfold before our eyes, and you can see the remnants of it left here in the middle of the Indian River, just off the coast of Cocoa. That boat where Mr. Rowers was rescued still sits out there. As we heard from him earlier this morning, 3 of his anchors were keeping that boat tethered. 3 of them broke, and that's what put this all into motion. Take a look at the video, the dramatic scene as we saw the U.S. National Guard along with Cocoa Fire and Rescue and Cocoa Police supporting this water rescue. They also put the National Coast Guard helicopter into the air as a potential alternate way to rescue this man. Fortunately, that was not needed. They were able to get the boat in fast enough to get him back to safety, and now he is recovering from quite an ordeal. He said that he was, shaken, just said this was an example of the power of Nicole coming through the Space Coast, but incredibly grateful for those who came and rescued him and brought him back ashore to safety. Just one example of the impacts we've seen throughout the night. Reporting live here in Cocoa, Will Robinson-Smith, Spectrum News.
All right, as we continue our coverage, as Nicole spirals away, people in Seminole County and Sanford in particular are very much on edge because of the rising water levels. Once again, we're going to show you the impact of the rain and wind that we saw today along the St. Johns River and Lake Monroe. Stay close.
Marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
The following portion of Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan, America's largest injury law firm.
No nonsense for small business means everything you need, nothing you don't. You need speed. Spectrum delivers the fastest internet speeds in the nation. You need to stay connected. They give you Spectrum Business Voice with unlimited long distance and tons of added features. You need outstanding value. Get internet at 600 megabits per second for only $49.99 a month and business voice for $19.99 a month. Plus, add Spectrum Mobile for just $29.99 a month. That's everything you need. Now, what don't you need?
Nonsense.
No nonsense. Yes, no contracts, no surprise fees, no added taxes. Get 600 meg internet for only $49.99 and business voice for $19.99. And they throw in the no nonsense for free. Call 833-645-0666 and switch to Spectrum Business today.
Do you have an older fiberglass shower or bath that looks something like this? Well, if so, you're probably noticing some stains that just won't go away, or maybe you just want to freshen up the space with something new. Either way, West Shore Home is here to help. And today, in just 9 hours, this is going to be replaced by a beautiful, brand new walk-in shower. All right, the crew's ready to go. Let's get started. Folks, you saw it right here. West Shore Home completely transformed this bath space, and they did it in less than 9 hours. To start your project, call the number on your screen right now. Set up that free in-home design consultation. And when you do, take advantage of this great offer. West Shore Home is extending this offer for 1 week only. 18 months of no payments and no interest financing. Plus, for a limited time, they're taking $1,500 off every shower and bath project. Call the shower and bath experts at West Shore Home now.
Proudly celebrating 25 years as part of the Central Florida community. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
It is now 12:21 as we see Tropical Storm Nicole over toward the west coast and moving away from us. Still going to keep the clouds around and some bands of showers that will race by. Winds, though, will start to come down just a bit over the next several hours. And as we take a look outside, this is our Weichert Realtors Hallmark Property Skycam downtown. We'll get over to the coast in a second. I want to take you to Klystron 13, show you what we've got going on. I mentioned the center of the circulation here is actually right along the Citrus and Hernando County coast, moving west-northwest at 16 miles per hour, racing along. And we do still have some of those outer bands wrapping around. There's a couple of very light showers that are also wrapping back into parts of Volusia County. But let's take you out to Sumter and Lake County. Starting to also see some of that wind-driven showery weather and almost a heavy drizzle or mist in spots back into western Orange, Central Lake, but some heavier rain falling western Lake and out into Sumter County, including Bushnell, and now over Lake Panasoffkee as well. Let's take a look. I want to go back for just a second. I wanted to show you what we've got wave height-wise. I mentioned the coast. We are still dealing with winds, or I should say waves, that are over 13 feet just along shore, just offshore, but you get out a little farther and we have wave heights to 20 feet. So we are still pushing some big crashing waves toward the coast. We are working our way, though, toward low tide. Daytona Beach, your low tide around 313. Cocoa Beach, your low tide about 243. And up and down the East Coast, that puts us between about 243 and 330, depending on your location on our East Coast. So still dealing with crashing waves, a sprawling cloud field here. As we get in a little bit closer, we are seeing a bigger break toward the coast, but notice some outer bands way out offshore that are wrapping in with that wind. Wind gusts that have been up over 30 miles per hour, Daytona Beach and Fort Pierce. Coming out of the east now, or I should say due west in Clearwater as the center of circulation continues to move along. The good news with our south wind wrapping in is that we are starting to push water back down the St. Johns River. Flowing south to north, the St. Johns River has now gone back below into a minor stage here, below moderate to a minor stage in Sanford, still running high at Astor, a major stage, but dropping there as well. Okay, rain today in spotty condition. Tomorrow an isolated shower or two, breezy, lower 80s. Eric, lower 80s Saturday, but a cold front will sweep in some cooler, drier air for Sunday. Sunshine in mid-70s.
Okay, so as Nicole continues to spiral farther and farther away from us, the memories are not going to be going away anytime soon, and certainly a lot of rain that we saw from the storm, certainly not good from areas still trying to dry out after Hurricane Ian more than a month ago. Spectrum News 13's Jesse Canales joining us from Lake Monroe with a look at the impacts where he is.
whenever St. Johns River is affected, that means Lake Monroe is affected. And you can see some water from Lake Monroe right behind me has spilled over onto downtown Sanford. Now this is Seminole Boulevard, one of the busy streets. As you see, it's a part of downtown Sanford, and it also right next to the marina. Some of that marina water came on to the area, and as you can see, it stretches from one side of the street all the way to the other, almost like its own little river. There's some patches of dry areas, so drivers are trying to find alternate routes through those patches to get around downtown. Now right next to Seminole Boulevard, on Seminole Boulevard, is actually the Sanford Civic Center. That's a senior center, and we reached out to Seminole County Emergency Management about that situation to see if any seniors were impacted, if they had to respond to any emergency calls at the senior center, and they said none so far. So that's some really good news. And back to that flooding situation here on Seminole Boulevard. So far going through downtown, the flooding has only been relegated to this street itself. So that's some good news, especially here in the area that's been heavily impacted by flooding because of Hurricane Ian and now Nicole. For now, reporting in Sanford, on scene, Jessica Nales, Spectrum News.
Of course, the storm interrupted a lot of vacation flights and such, whether it be for business or pleasure. At one point, more than 1,000 flights were canceled because of the tropical storm. Data from FlightAware shows it impacted whether you were flying here in the States or internationally. 900 were canceled yesterday. Orlando International Airport being the most impacted destination. This is what it looked like yesterday before the airport closed. The airport remains closed, and you can see some of the precautions with the plastic draped over the computer monitors right there. By the way, Lynx is also working to get back to normal operations. The fixed bus routes and Neighbor Lynx services started at 11 o'clock this morning. Access Lynx will return to full service, at least the plan right now, with a reservation on Friday. You're encouraged to make appointments ASAP, though. All right, thank you for staying with us for our continued in-depth team coverage of Nicole as it spirals away from Central Florida. We'll have the latest coordinates on what the storm is doing and where it's headed, and we'll also continue to check in with our crews fanned out across Central Florida. Stay with us, please.
It's our year-end blowout sale at all 4 of Gary Yeoman's Ford's locations and both Gary Yeoman's Lincoln locations. All of our Ford and Lincoln certified pre-owned vehicles have been priced with year-end blowout savings. Massive selection with incentives that are as good or better than brand new. And no interest for 3 years. You'll be saying CP, oh my goodness, and no payments till February. CP, oh yeah. Hey, don't wait, go visit GoYeomans.com and figure out why Florida says. Go Yeomans!
Introducing Parish Healthcare's Health and Wellness Center, now open at Crossroads Plaza. Whether you're wanting to lose weight, build muscle, or improve your overall health, the professionals at Parish Healthcare's Health and Wellness Center are dedicated to ensure you achieve your fitness goals. The center offers customized personal training, heart-healthy classes, and low-impact to high-intensity workout options for everyone. Visit parishhealthcare.com/health and wellness to learn more.
With a Medicare Part C plan from Care Plus, you could receive extra benefits, like money back on your Social Security check, a spending card for groceries, utilities, rent, and more, $0 copays for routine dental, vision, and hearing, plus visit out-of-network hospitals and specialists, transportation, and much more.
The Medicare annual enrollment period is here. Call Care Plus today.
Black Friday, Appliance Direct. Brand new Whirlpool, 5605 front load set. In the box. 12 payments, $117 per month. 0 down, 0 interest. 0 down, 0 interest. Plus $100 cash direct to you from Whirlpool. Appliance Direct. If you didn't buy direct,
you paid too much.
Okay, Spectrum News in 90 seconds here at 12:30. Thanks for staying with us. Eric Levy with you as we continue our live in-depth team coverage of Tropical Storm Nicole as she gets farther and farther away. This is what folks in Sanford do not want to see. More water from the rain. Unfortunately, this is right near Lake Monroe. When it gets around 7 feet, then it was this when it's considered moderate flooding. Well, the latest report posted around, earlier this morning, it was at about 6.58, and we are getting constant updates, so we will let you know. We want to show you that rescue again in Brevard County. This is what rescuers train for, and they put that training to work in Brevard County, plucking a man from a boat that had become de-anchored, if you will. He had several anchors. The boat came free, but there he is on the rescue boat and was brought back to land safely. In Altamont Springs, the high winds from Nicole knocked down the city's Christmas tree. This is at Cranes Roost Park. Once the weather conditions improve, you know they're going to put that back upright. But still, unfortunately, we don't want to see that. All right, let's check in with the latest coordinates and the latest position on where Nicole is right now. The important thing is it's getting farther and farther away from us, right, Brian?
It is, Eric. It is now right along the coast of Citrus County. Just offshore, though, it is moving off toward the west-northwest. Actually, as I'm watching it, a little more northwesterly, but it is booking along at 16 miles per hour with those sustained winds at 50. I have a feeling we'll get the update and the numbers will come down even more. Let's get you over to Klystron 13, show you the remaining bands that are wrapping around the center of circulation. Some heavy rain over most of Sumter County and into eastern Lake County. We also have some light to moderate bursts of rain falling in Orange County. And I'm going to track out the leading edge of the heaviest rain, though, as it slides back and into Marion County. Should be over Ocala Waterway at 1243, Saddle Oak Club at 1249, and into Martell, Ocala Ridge, and Sherman Oaks at 1257.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. We will keep you posted on, and you can keep us posted as well on what's happening with the storm. All right, so we want to talk with Lieutenant Tara Krasinski with the Florida Highway Patrol, who was generous enough to give us some of her time this afternoon. Lieutenant, I know you're very busy, but thank you so much for talking with us. What is the situation like on the highways and byways this afternoon now that the worst part of the storm is beginning to get away from us here in Central Florida?
So we have some flooding on different ramps on our major roadways. There's two of noted. On I-4 eastbound, the exit ramp near Turkey Lake Road and Central Florida Parkway, that's mile marker 71. In Orange County, there is some flooding. And State Road 429 northbound, exit ramp near Franklin Street, which would be mile marker 24, there's also some flooding ramp. We encourage motorists to please report any hazards or roadway conditions to star 347. That's star FHP, so that we can get troopers out to that area. Please let us know about any roadway debris or any standing water so that we can block roads appropriately.
Lieutenant, Lieutenant, give me that number again. I hate to interrupt you again, but give me that number again because the connection was cutting in and out. It's star FHP, but on the phone that translates to what? Star what?
Star 347.
Okay, very good. Obviously, and I know that area that you were talking about on State Road 429, that's in the Plant Street area. That's an area that's under construction. A lot of new construction going on in that area, so the drainage is probably a little bit poor in that area to keep up with the heavy rainfall. We were seeing people, unfortunately, driving in that on-ramp onto the 429 through that deep water, and that's something we don't want people to do. That whole turnaround, don't drown, right?
Absolutely. You do not know what's underneath that water. There could be down power lines. There could be debris. Your car can become stalled.
Yep.
Anything more than 6 inches of water, you could become disabled. And now you are also in that condition.
Earlier this morning, our real-time traffic expert Jerry Hume was on top of a number of crashes, including a situation in Osceola County. This wasn't necessarily a crash, but it was a semi that had caught fire. This was on the Turnpike southbound in Osceola County. What information do you have on that? That's new for us this afternoon.
So that was a vehicle fire. It was an 18-wheeler semi-truck. It happened at about 9:25 southbound on the Turnpike, south of Neptune Road, Osceola County. The driver noticed that there was smoke. He believes that his brakes caught fire. Luckily, he was able to disconnect his cab from the trailer. Unfortunately, the trailer still caught on fire, and it was loaded with about 50,000 pounds of produce. But fortunately, the driver, who was a 33-year-old male, he was not injured in this incident, and all southbound lanes are now open.
It may be premature, but I'll ask you really quickly. Does it appear that this was weather-related, or was this a problem other than that tropical storm or not, that, this may have happened? Or is that just kind of part of the investigation that you're trying to figure out?
So he believes it was the brake fire, so we think it's a mechanical issue.
Okay. All right, Lieutenant Tara Krasinski with the Florida Highway Patrol, thank you so very much for joining us this afternoon and for giving that message one more time about not driving through the flooded streets. And as we get farther and farther away from the storm, or vice versa, that water will likely go down. Thank you so very much for your time, Lieutenant. Good to talk to you. Let's go right now to Spectrum News 13's Asher Wildman. He has been joining us from Wilbur by the Sea. And Asher, last time we saw you last half hour, you were showing us the damage to a home there right behind you. Not a good situation, unfortunately.
No, unfortunately, this is some of the risks people take when they want beachfront property, and we're going to take a moment to talk about this right here on South Atlantic Boulevard, Wilbur by the Sea. Here's the front of the house. We got the front entranceway. We got a two-car garage. But now let's take that video and go in the house with the homeowner and show you literally all that's left of it. About 6 feet of entranceway, and then you just see a complete drop-off. That drop-off, that's where the house is. What you're looking at, that's not the living room, that's not the kitchen, that is the roof that is still hanging on by a thread. 7 homes in Wilbur by the Sea have succumbed to Tropical Storm Nicole. However, part of the reason is also because of what happened here with Hurricane Ian. We talked to the homeowner of this property about the impact from the 2 storms.
It was pretty bad. I honestly, after Ian, I thought that the house would actually be destroyed, and I walked in and everything was okay. And then the seawall was gone and the whole backyard was gone.
Now, Eric, along here, Wilbur by the Sea, the waves from the ocean still penetrating and breaking through the seawalls, what's left of those seawalls. I was at one home earlier. They got about a 50-foot steel rod holding up a swimming pool. Just a matter of time, you would think, until even that gets swept out from underneath it, and that's all that's holding up a giant pool in someone's backyard. There was about 75 feet between these property lines and the dunes until you finally got to the ocean. But finally now the water has come to a point now where some of these homes are literally holding on by a couple pieces of sand. It's really sad. It's something to see. Before we got here yesterday, a total of 12 buildings in Wilbur by the Sea had mandatory evacuations. 12 buildings in Daytona Beach Shores were under a mandatory evacuation. 22 homes in Wilbur by the Sea, mandatory evacuation. Also, there was one hotel where everybody had to leave. So the situation here was really felt simply because of what Hurricane Ian did with the infrastructure, wiping out parts of the seawall, and that storm surge eventually taking over what could not be fixed and replaced. Reporting live in Volusia County, Asher Wildman for Spectrum News.
Yeah, it's what we were worried about, the storm damage from Ian, and then coming with Nicole 6 weeks later. All right, Asher, thank you very much. We'll check back in with you a little bit later on. We'll take a break and continue with our coverage of Tropical Storm Nicole as it gets farther and farther away. And the man who can tell us how far it is and the distance away, Certified Chief Meteorologist Brian Carrick. Hey there, BK.
Hey, Eric, it is sitting on the coast of Citrus County. So that is where it currently is located as Nicole pulls away. It is moving along at about 16 miles per hour. Going to be back with a look at the rest of our afternoon, find out when we can say goodbye to Nicole. Plus, I've got some more images coming in of flooding, all coming up with Weather on the Wires.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Attorney Dan Newland. Billions won for accident victims.
Have you been injured at work? At Van Dingen & Law, we don't aim to be the biggest, just the best. Call 407 Workers or visit 407workers.com. Don't choose bigger, choose better. Workers' comp, it's all we do.
There's never been a better time to switch to Spectrum Mobile, America's fastest growing mobile provider. Now, when you buy a Spectrum Mobile unlimited line for just $29.99, you get another unlimited line free. Spectrum Mobile delivers reliable service coast to coast with unlimited talk, text, and data, plus nationwide 5G included. Get a Spectrum Mobile unlimited line for just $29.99 and get another unlimited line free. Call 844-897-5232. Visit SpectrumMobile.com or your local Spectrum store.
When our fathers started Bogan Munz & Munz, they were set on treating their clients like they were part of the family. And all these years later, that hasn't changed.
Our family has grown to 40-plus lawyers, dedicated to fighting for you, our family.
That's why you choose Bogan Munz & Munz.
Attention Medicare customers with diabetes. Now you can stop the painful pricking of your fingers with a continuous glucose monitor. And they're covered by Medicare if you qualify. Call right now for free information.
There's never been a better time to get away. With a great deal on the Hyundai you've always wanted. With America's best warranty and up to 3 years complimentary maintenance. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway sales event. Hurry in to get our best deals of the season. Get in and get away. Get a Santa Fe with $1,250 bonus cash and 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, get $1,000 relief cash for those affected by Hurricane Ian.
Have you been injured at work? At Van Dingen & Law, we don't aim to be the biggest, just the best. Call 407 Workers or visit 407workers.com. Don't choose bigger, choose better. Workers' comp, it's all we do.
.42 on a Thursday. I'm Brian Carrick with Maureen McCann. Still watching Nicole. As I just mentioned going into our commercial break, Nicole is sitting on the Citrus County coast and is pushing across and toward the Nature Coast and the Big Bend. We'll get to Klystron 13 coming up. Some images coming in. Always serene on the Ormond Beach area here at Tomoka River, but Kathy says not so much. Right now, still rather bumpy and rough. A shot here looking back over the Tomoka River that is still running rough. And how about this shot from Lake DuPont in Deltona? You know, that's not what you want to see in your yard, as we are still dealing with some flooding. Major flooding on the St. Johns River, currently in Astor. Moderate flood stage in DeLand, but as we get down into Sanford, we've slipped below and now sitting at minor flood stage after going back into moderate flood stage earlier. So here's the center of circulation sitting out in the Citrus County coast, moving away from us. And it looks like the very latest information coming in, 45-mile-per-hour winds sustained. It is moving to the northwest at 15. You remember just about 10 minutes ago I was discussing it looked like it was more to the northwest, and that's sure enough what's occurring as this is moving away from us. But still, a very sizable pocket of tropical storm force winds. They extend out over 345 miles from the center of circulation. Winds on the backside still up into the mid and upper 40s here from Orlando through Sanford toward Leesburg. Wind-driven rain, that's what we're seeing in spots, and it looks like we've got the heaviest rain falling over much of Sumter County, western Lake County, and into southern Marion County. So yes, the village is picking up on some of that heavy rain, but we also have a batch of some wind-driven heavy drizzle or mists in parts of central Lake County, western Orange County, and out toward places like Ocklawaha here in Marion County. So through the afternoon, I'm going to continue to watch these little bands, notice some of the haze in the distance from some of those showers. As we get the very latest coming in, still a few lingering showers. I'm wrapping back around. This is 2, 4 o'clock. Still a couple of isolated showers at 6, although most of us into the evening hours do start drying out. I am going to keep a threat for some showers around, take you to Alachua County through Marion and Sumter County through tomorrow morning. So I'm going to keep the shower threat there at least. Get you into tomorrow afternoon. Most of us dry dry, breezy, and the temperatures that will be back into the 80s. Lower 80s on Saturday. A front moves by us, so Saturday into Sunday without much fanfare, although it does drop our temperatures. Eric, we're in the 70s for highs Sunday afternoon.
Oh, that's going to be so nice. So refreshing, especially after, and this is what we see after a tropical system. Nice weather comes on down. So good reward for getting through it. And a lot of people have a lot of damage and flooding to contend with. We want to continue our trip around Central Florida at lunchtime and see what's happening around, well, let's go to Daytona Beach shores this go around. Spectrum News 13's Brandon T. Jones. I'm seeing some police cars with the lights flashing. What's happening behind you?
Yeah, I mean, take a look at this scene right now, Eric. There is tons of police activity out here right now, and that's because this building we're looking at currently, it has been deemed unsafe. They've been going up there, every single floor, the Sheriff's Department, Daytona Beach Shores Police, they've been trying to get everyone evacuated from this. And the thing is, I got a chance to speak with the public safety director of Daytona Beach Shores, and he told me this isn't one of the areas they thought would be an unsafe apartment condominium, because they did some tours actually earlier in the day, over the last couple of days actually, and they didn't think there was going to be any problems, but the wind is so strong, the waves are so strong as well, and it's just been knocking up against this seawall, creating a dangerous living condition. So every single door on this condominium that you're looking at right now has been evacuated, and it looks like they are starting to wrap things up at the current moment. There was kind of a large gathering up at the front, but we have been seeing some of the officers making their way to their car. So hopefully everyone has been evacuated. But as I mentioned, I got a chance to speak with the public safety director not too long ago, just a few moments ago, and we were able to kind of get a better understanding on currently what they're dealing right now and what this current situation is.
We're having to do emergency evacuations. The chief building official for the city came through and checked the backs of these properties and determined that it's not safe to be in here. These buildings are at threat of imminent collapse.
Yeah, so it's just better to be safe than sorry. So that's exactly what you're seeing right here behind me. Them doing their due diligence to make sure everyone is safe in this community and everyone is safe inside of this condominium right now. So not sure how much longer they'll be out here, but they've been going up and down A1A this entire day over yesterday as well, just trying to make sure they collect and get everyone who's in a dangerous situation out and make sure their lives are the first priority that we have right now. Actually, around 2 p.m. today, there's supposed to be a press conference with more updates over here with the Volusia County Emergency Management, so we'll have more updates as well. Reporting live in Daytona Beach Shores, Brandon T. Jones, Spectrum News.
Hearing imminent collapse, that is very chilling. Thank you, Brandon. Keep us posted. Let's head over to Flagler County and Spectrum News 13's Sandra Weathers standing by near a flooded road. Sandra.
Hey, how you doing? We're actually over in Port Orange. The Port Orange Police Department sent out a warning earlier this morning, basically telling people to stay away from this neighborhood because a seawall had given way. I'm going to step out of the way so you can kind of see just how much water has made its way onto the streets here. You take a look at that mailbox, and you can see half of it is underwater, the dead end sign as well. But we're going to bring you over a little bit more to show you some of this flooding. Now, it is in certain spots of the street, of course. You can see flooding all along here, but then you also see those bags there, a lot of trash on the side of the road, and a lot of that is from cleanup from Hurricane Ian that is now covered in water and had been drenched by this storm. So those piles of debris all now wet. Further down the street, you see a whole furniture set that is covered, well, that once was covered by water from this storm, from the floodwaters. Again, there was a seawall that gave way. Part of this street is shut down here in Port Orange. How long this flooding is going to last and how long it's going to take to repair that seawall, we still don't know. We saw a lot of county workers here. Police are on the other side where that seawall broke, and they're trying to keep people from out of the area. But again, the residents here are just hoping for some relief. One guy stopped and said, you know, just a few weeks ago when Hurricane Ian hit, they had so many feet of water inside of their home. So for them, they say this is nothing, but of course they don't want it to get any worse as the high tide comes in and out of this area. So we will continue to monitor the situation. Reporting live from Port Orange, Sandra Weathers, Spectrum News 13.
Okay, Sandra, thank you very much. Coming up for you at 12:51, Brian Carrick will be back with us with the latest coordinates on Tropical Storm Nicole as the storm continues to weaken and leave our area.
Spectrum News 13 is committed to helping today's students become tomorrow's scientists through Project Weather. Congratulations to the 2022 scholarship winners for their dedication and achievement. We are now accepting applications for the 2023 Project Weather scholarships. If you're a high school senior who excels in science, head to our website to find out how to apply. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
This is Morty. Morty's got to go to the vet. But Morty, it's Florida Aid to Animals. Pets know where to go for affordable health care. Florida Aid to Animals has the lowest prices on visits, vaccines, and the best products with surgeries for spaying and neutering. Dental cleanings just $99. X-rays only $99 plus office visit. Cats and dogs are happy to save. Call Florida Aid to Animals in Melbourne and Palm Bay.
Hello, I'm Dunia Grijalva, President of Devoted Health in Florida. Medicare's annual enrollment period is happening right now. During this time, you can change your Medicare plan. I wanted to talk to you today about how you could save more and get more benefits with a Medicare Advantage plan like one from Devoted Health. Devoted Health's plans start at just $0 a month, and they're designed to put you first. Same benefits as original Medicare, plus a whole lot more. You can get money back every month in your Social Security check. If you're looking to get better dental coverage, our plans give you thousands for dental care. You can also get a free medical alert device with free monitoring, and qualifying members can even get money to spend on groceries each month. Our plans also include the support of our guides, our customer service team based right here in the United States. If you want to learn more, just give us a call at the number on the screen. You're not required to join when you call us. Thank you.
It is now 12:52 here on a Thursday as we are continuing to watch now Tropical Storm Nicole sitting out on the Citrus County coastline. Actually, it looks like it's just offshore, and it is moving to the northwest now, still rapidly moving. Let's get into some information. If you are joining us and maybe didn't realize what time this made landfall, it made landfall at 3 in the morning north of Hutchinson Island. This is south of Vero Beach and kind of hugging the Indian River and St. Lucie County line there. As we see here, strength was Category 1, winds to 75 miles per hour at landfall. So it was a minimal Category 1. The pressure had dropped to 981 millibars. This, by the way, Hurricane Nicole, the latest calendar year hurricane to make landfall on the east coasts of Florida on record. The first hurricane landfall on the east coast of Florida and first season with 2 Florida landfalls since 2005. And again, these are November statistics here for you. The shortest span between hurricane landfalls since 2004, just 43 days now. It was 42 days yesterday, just 43 days now. We have actually been dealing with Ian until we dealt with Nicole. All right, so Nicole is still bringing us some wind. They actually knocked down a palm tree here in Sanford. This is our listed.com cam, also causing some of the trees to lean just a bit. So we'll see if the wind is able to knock those back just a bit. Wave heights, get over toward the coast, and we still have waves of 13 feet or greater. Waves that are even higher as you get just off the shore, and those waves are crashing in. And it looks like the good news is that we are taking the tide out. And our low tide here at Daytona Beach at 3:13, low tide here at Cocoa Beach at 2:43. All right, let's get you a look at Klystron 13 and show you the rain bands that we are seeing. And if the control room is talking to me, I'm not hearing anything from you, let me know. As we take a look at some of the heavy bands of rain from Marion County through Sumter County into western Lake County. So if you're traveling I-75, that is where we're dealing with some wind-driven, moderate to heavy rainfall. Little light pockets of rain that extend basically from Kissimmee back up over SeaWorld, just past over Disney World. I know they're doing a staggered opening, and then stretched back up, and it looks into the west side of Apopka north side of Lake Apopka, back up into the forest here of Marion County. So progressing through the afternoon, watching Nicole pull away from us. The expansive wind field is still at 345 miles out from the center of circulation. Winds are starting to come out of the southwest now in Clearwater as the center pulls away, and a gust out of the southeast at 31 miles per hour out at Daytona Beach. What we've been seeing is now that the wind has shifted, we're pushing that water back downstream. The St. Johns River flows south to north, and we have finally started to allow some of that water to go downstream, and we've seen our river level at the St. Johns near Sanford drop into minor flood stage. All right, 7-day forecast for you as we see temperatures in the upper 70s today. Looks like low 80s return tomorrow, an isolated shower or two, breezy. Low 80s on Saturday. A front drops us back into the 70s for highs on Sunday and Monday.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Let's head now to South Daytona. Spectrum News 13's Katie Strite with a report on what's happening where you are, and we're looking at more flooding and street flooding.
Yes, we're currently in South Daytona near Big Tree Road, and we are seeing what seems to be about 2 to 3 inches of flooding just going towards the main road here now. What residents have told me lately is that it's the Halifax River that is actually flooding into this side of Daytona, into South Daytona. We're seeing a playground flooded, as well as a tennis court flooded. I don't think anyone's playing on the courts today. And really, I mean, some folks can't get to their homes because it's blocked by flooding. Some people are stuck in their homes because it's blocked by flooding. So we're talking with Volusia County Sheriff's Office on what they're doing, how they're where they're rescuing folks, and how people can get back to normal. And just a reminder, these folks have seen some of these impacts from Hurricane Ian, and this is just adding on to the troubles and the troubles, kind of like a cherry on top of what seems to be a pretty bad hurricane season. And so we're going to continue to follow up with this area and see how residents are doing pretty shortly. Live in South Daytona, Katie Strite, Spectrum News.
All right, Katie, thank you very much. And of course, as you know, it only takes one storm to be a bad hurricane season, and we've had 2 here in Central Florida. Make sure you get the latest updates. If you're away from Spectrum News 13, log on to mynews13.com or as well the Spectrum News app. And we'll take a break. We'll be back with much more of our coverage, team coverage, including a look at some of the damage around Central Florida with our team of reporters. We'll also get an update on the coordinates, the latest coordinates on Tropical Storm Nicole. I'm Eric Levy. Stay with us, please.
Closed captioning is brought to you by New Teeth Now. In only one day, New Teeth Now can change your life with a new smile. We treat patients others turn away.
This season, it's the perfect time to catch a great deal at your Central Florida Acura dealers. Like the new 2022 Acura MDX. It's designed to thrill you and your family. Acura's premium performance SUV. The 2022 Acura RDX is the perfect balance of style, power, and high tech. And check out the 2023 Acura Integra with power you can feel and control. Don't let these great catches pass you by. So catch a great deal at your Central Florida Acura dealers today.
Do you have an older fiberglass shower or bath that looks something like this? Well, if so, you're probably noticing some stains that just won't go away, or maybe you just want to freshen up the space with something new. Either way, West Shore Home is here to help. And today, in just 9 hours, this is going to be replaced by a beautiful, brand new walk-in shower. All right, the crew's ready to go. Let's get started. Folks, you saw it right here. West Shore Home completely transformed this bath space, and they did it in less than 9 hours. To start your project, call the number on your screen right now. Set up that free in-home design consultation. And when you do, take advantage of this great offer. 18 months of no payments and no interest financing. Plus, for a limited time, they're taking $1,500 off every shower and bath project. Call the shower and bath experts at West Shore Home now.
Mr. World knows when you need new eyeglasses, you don't want to deal with any curveballs. That's why Eyeglass World brings the heat with lightning-fast service. Other places have long waits up their sleeves, but Eyeglass World has in-store labs to make the waiting disappear. So you can get custom-made glasses the same day.
Ta-da!
Plus, you can get 2 pairs for $89. So schedule your eye exam online today at eyeglassworld.com, the world's best way to buy glasses.
Now, Spectrum News in 90 seconds. Hi there, I'm Eric Levy. Thank you for staying with us. Mother Nature not playing nice today. The hurricane and, well, now tropical storm Nicole, you can see what she did. That's just a small taste of it. Power lines and transformers blowing, lighting up the night sky. Flights were canceled at Orlando's big airport. More than 1,200 of them did not happen. A water rescue in Brevard County putting the training to the test by rescuers. They plucked a man from a boat that had come unanchored. He was safely brought back. This is from an inlet in Cocoa. And if you're driving this afternoon, you're advised not to for the next few hours until the downed trees. And in some cases, the standing water goes away. So the Florida Highway Patrol and other agencies just suggesting you stay home. But the storm is going away. That's the good thing. Let's get an update now at 1 o'clock, or actually 1:01. Dual certified chief meteorologist Brian Carrick. Let's finally say goodbye to this storm once and for all, right?
Nicole is offshore now. It's just off the coast of Citrus County, so it is due west almost of Ocala over toward the coast. It's moving to the northwest at 15. Winds are down to 45 miles per hour. It's going to continue racing toward the north and west and up and over Tallahassee tonight, and then back just south of Atlanta as a tropical depression early tomorrow morning. Let's get a look at Clystron 13. Mentioned the center of circulation is now offshore Citrus County and Levy County. We are still wrapping back some heavier rain bands, though. Marion County and down through Sumter County, travel on I-75 really going to be slowed down. As a matter of fact, why don't I track this out for you? It is moving rapidly to the north. And as it does so over Fairfield by 111, Flemington 115, Tacoma 127, and Kirkwood by 128.
Okay, we'll see you later, Brian. Thank you very much for the update. We want to continue our trip around Central Florida, take a look at some of the damage. This is from a home in Wilbur by the sea, and literally the home is by the sea. A large chunk of it broke apart. Spectrum News 13's Asher Wildman joins us from Wilbur by the Sea. Asher, heartbreaking to see this, and it wasn't just from this storm. It was made worse, right?
Eric, you're correct. This is a combination of Tropical Storm Nicole plus the hangover effect, if you will, from Hurricane Ian. And to talk about that, I got a great shot now that the water started to clear, clear out. See that piece right there? That's what's left of this portion of the seawall behind this home on Wilbur by the Sea. Now I'm going to pan over here to show you. This is as far as this house goes because the rest of it, not by the sea, not at the sea, it is in the sea. So you can literally see just how bad it all was. I know it's a lot of sea words there, but you can see how bad it was from Tropical Storm Nicole. Finally, the erosion was just too much for not just this home, but 6 other homes here on South Atlantic Boulevard in Wilbur by the Sea. A total of 7 homes caving in. We got the chance to speak to this homeowner of this home who was just in utter shock earlier today.
It was pretty bad. I honestly, after Ian, I thought that the house would actually be destroyed, and I walked in and everything was okay. And then the seawall was gone and the whole backyard was gone.
And then, Eric, behind me, you could see the walkway here. There's a portion, I don't know if, Nick, if you could see right here, though, there's a portion of the
Okay. Well, we apologize about the technical difficulties there. Obviously, when you have some bad weather, it does mess with the signal. We'll be checking back in with Asher momentarily, but yeah, it was really tells the story of the strength of this storm, making the damage from Hurricane Ian even worse by this storm. Very, very sad. Okay, let's shift gears now. The Flagler Beach Pier, I tell you what, has taken a beating from a number of storms in the past, and of course, Hurricane Ian, it took a beating from that, and it's taking a beating right now from the remaining high waves and angry seas. Spectrum News 13's Nick Popham is joining us this afternoon. Nick, you have been looking at the Flagler Beach Pier, but you've also been looking at the road behind you getting eroded by the angry ocean.
Yeah, that's right. It's because it's been so violent, a lot of these waves coming from the Atlantic Ocean behind me here and sweeping onto the road and causing a lot of that erosion to take place along A1A, this major thoroughfare along Flagler Beach right next to the Atlantic. You can see crews are continuing to work sort of to put the pieces back together, and it's pretty great to see them. They immediately got to work as soon as they were able to do so earlier this morning when the sun came up. It was as if they had already come out and started their work, which is incredible and commendable for them. A lot of people have been coming out now. It seems like more and more folks are making their way outside and taking a look of what Nicole has done to their community. And it's essentially been a lot of just this main road, because this main road right up to the ocean has seen the brunt force of those massive waves come and hit it. And you can see the work going down a couple blocks of these crews working to try to replace this road. So as you can see, it's not going to be an overnight fix, but they're working diligently to try to open it back up as quickly as possible so that people can enjoy driving down this thoroughfare once again. But it's something that we will keep monitoring, and we'll be taking a look with tomorrow as well, just to see how the progress has developed as the day progresses. For now, live at Flagler Beach, I'm Nick Popham. We'll send it back to you.
Okay, Nick, thank you very much for that update. Of course, the power has been out for many, many hours for many, many people across Central Florida. Once the wind gets to a lesser intensity, they'll be able to get those power trucks and those cherry pickers, if you will, up to get the power restored for a lot of those customers, if not all of them. Spectrum News 13's Ashley Mills is in the newsroom this afternoon with an update on the power situation. You're actually in the control room. Sorry about that. You're in the control room. No matter where you are, you got an update on the situation. What do you have, Ashley?
We're moving around a lot today, Eric, and we've also been tracking this situation, the power outages. A lot of people still at this hour, as you mentioned, still without power, especially when you look on the East Coast, those coastal counties like Volusia and Brevard. So let's first focus on those FPL numbers, if you will, that map they've been constantly updating. Still the numbers climbing right now. It looks like Brevard has most of these power outages, upwards of 87,000 at last check, followed by Volusia, a big gap with about 26,000, just over 26,000 outages. And they do continue to update that number, but it has been at about that amount for quite some time now. So we know that crews were trying to get out once the conditions were better. They said that the winds had to die down below 30 miles per hour in order to do that. And then we'll change it over and look at Duke Energy. They have power outages around the greater Orlando area. Not as many when you compare it to something like Brevard and FPL, but still a good number of folks without the lights on at this point. We were talking to Duke Energy spokesperson earlier this morning. She had a lot of advice to give people who may face power outages, may face flooding as well. Take a listen.
If you are in an area that could be flooded, turn off your breaker it's in your garage, so turn off your breaker so that you proactively turn off your electricity. Water and electricity don't mix. That's a danger to your family, your pets, and even to your property. It's a fire danger. So it's a quick safety tip. Keep your family and, of course, your pets safe.
She mentioned that crews would be getting out to restore power when they could. Also some things they could do behind the scenes without having to send crews out, as they're able to do that to try to get the lights turned back on for people. But also another word of advice, she said, stay indoors, don't go anywhere if you don't have to. obviously stay away from downed power lines. We've already seen tragedy in Orange County when it comes to those dangerous downed power lines. Always a good idea to stay away from those. Eric, back to you.
Ashley Mills in the control room this afternoon. Ashley, thank you. We'll check in with Jerry Human, some road checks in just a moment. We'll also get a quick check of weather with certified chief meteorologist Brian Carrick as we head to break.
Eric, we are watching Nicole offshore now, just offshore of Citrus and Levy County, and moving rapidly away from us. But it has left some pretty good damage, as you've been watching here on Spectrum News 13. I'll have a couple of images for you, plus a look at the timing of this afternoon's rain coming up with Weather in the Wilds.
Local Forecast is brought to you by Parish Healthcare, healing patients, healing families, healing communities. Parish Healthcare, where the art of healing comes to life.
Two things you can always count on with hurricane season. Every hurricane is different.
Vicetron 13 actually able to pick up on those outer rain bands.
And the Spectrum News 13 weather experts will always keep you ahead of the storm.
We are monitoring 2 disturbances in the Atlantic.
Tracking storms coast to coast with the fastest and most detailed information, plus the context you need to be prepared. The weather experts only on Spectrum News 13, keeping you safe this hurricane season on your television and on the go with the Spectrum News app.
And this product here is 100% waterproof. You think you could use that?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, great. Well,
waterproof, pet-proof, kid-proof floors that fit your life at the guaranteed lowest price. Just one of the reasons Flooring America is where friends send friends.
Mom! When you need medical care and need it fast, think MedFast. MedFast is faster and less expensive than the emergency room. Sprain? Call MedFast. Cut? Call MedFast. Why wait for hours in the emergency room?
Choose MedFast.
MedFast Urgent Care. When you need medical care and need it fast, call 321-MedFast. Online at medfastcare.com.
Black Friday, Appliance Direct. Brand new Whirlpool slide-in range in the box. Convection and air fry. 12 payments, $121 per month, 0 down, 0 interest. 12 payments, $121 per month, 0 down, 0 interest. Appliance Direct. If you didn't buy direct,
you paid too much.
Tropical storm Nicole sitting just off the coast of Levy and Citrus County, almost due west of Ocala, and pulling away from us to the northwest at 16 miles per hour. I'm Brian Carrick with you here at 1:12 on a Thursday. Unfortunately, though, we're going to have quite a cleanup behind us here. After 42 days ago, starting our cleanup from Ian, we are now dealing with what is going to be substantial damage in some spots from Nicole. This is the A1A up in Flagler County. Flagler County Sheriff. You may recall if you were here with Hurricane Matthew, I believe that was 2016 or 2015, that also undermined the A1A in several spots. So with the A1A compromised in parts of Flagler County, it is closed. How about the pool collapse here at Ormond Beach Resort? This picture coming in from Steve. And again, this is that water undermining the structures, and that's why we've been seeing some structural issues on our coast. Let's say goodbye to Nicole here, hopefully sooner rather than later. Moving to the northwest at 15. We are still, though, seeing some of those outer bands and the extent of tropical storm force winds 345 miles from the center of the storm. Actually, a very expansive area of wind, and this stretches all the way up to South Carolina now. Some of our recent gusts, well, they have been up over 40 to 45 miles per hour from Orlando and Sanford over toward Ocala. Let's take you to Sanford, our listed.com cam in Sanford. The wind, it blew down one of the palm trees here on this little jetty that comes out near the marina. We also have several trees that are leaning at this point because of some of the saturated ground. Obviously, that ground still saturated in spots from Hurricane Ian. Here's the remnants of Nicole pulling away from us. We see some heavy rain in the I-75 corridor, Marion County, back down into Sumter County. If you're traveling this area, keep in mind visibility is going to come down and we will see some ponding. That batch of rain will exit here in the next hour. Notice through the afternoon, just a few spotty showers driven by the wind. Through the evening hours, the wind will start to come down and we are going to be mainly dry later tonight. A few lingering showers, though, out into Marion and Sumter County through tomorrow morning. Right now, though, Eric, as we take a look, we're going to be watching the forecast here dry out, and we are anticipating low 80s for Friday, Saturday, mid 70s on your Sunday. We will take a closer look at this again and discuss river levels coming up at 1:21.
Well, from the erosion, the structural issues, lots of hazards on the highways and byways this afternoon. So let's talk about that with real-time traffic expert Jerry Hume.
Stay off the barrier islands. That's the key message from law enforcement, and that includes here in Flagler County. In Flagler Beach, portions of A1A are closed right now. Big chunks have been washed away from Nicole right now. You can see our sensors indicating this portion, one of them 18th Street to 10th Street, it is blocked right now. There's other segments of A1A that are blocked as well, so avoid it there in Flagler County. In Volusia County, dealing with some issues with those causeways. The sheriff's office has closed all the causeways, including the ones here in New Smyrna Beach and also here in Daytona Beach right now. A couple of reasons for that. First, FDOT has to inspect all of the bridges over the intracoastal before they can reopen to make sure they're structurally sound. Second, there's a curfew and they don't want people out and about here on the barrier island that don't need to be there, especially with a lot of damage and debris in the area. Reporting here in the real-time traffic center, Jerry Hume, Spectrum News.
All right, well, some good news. We got an update from Walt Disney World. They didn't have any kind of damage from the storm. We did get an update with just some minimal debris. The power outage, there was nothing like that either. And a phased reopening started at noon today. Of course, the storm interrupted a lot of vacation flights and such, whether it be for business or pleasure. At one point, more than 1,000 flights were canceled because of the tropical storm. Data from FlightAware shows it impacted whether you were flying here in the States or internationally. 900 were canceled yesterday. Orlando International Airport being the most impacted destination. This is what it looked like yesterday before the airport closed. The airport remains closed, and you can see some of the precautions with the plastic draped over the computer monitors right there. By the way, Lynx is also working to get back to normal operations. The fixed bus routes and neighbor Lynx services started at 11 o'clock this morning. Access Lynx will return to full service, at least the plan right now, with a reservation on Friday. You're encouraged to make appointments ASAP, though. Well, here's what the storm did in Cocoa. Knocked down a big tree there, and this scene was repeated across many areas. Spectrum News 13's Will Robinson-Smith was around the area during the early morning hours. You can see a lot of tree limbs down, and as the roadways do become cleared, you'll want to, of course, watch out for any other limbs or branches that might get in your way. And of course, you know the impacts of Nicole were not just here in Central Florida. They were all up and down the state at one point. Look at Lauderdale by the Sea. Video of the pier right there. This is a middle of the 60-year-old pier, and Hutchison Island was ripped away. Look at that. Absolutely incredible. Lauderdale by the Sea, the longest pier in South Florida. All right, as we continue our coverage, as Nicole spirals away, you know, people in Seminole County and Sanford in particular are very much on edge because of the rising water levels. Once again, we're going to show you the impact of the rain and wind that we saw today along the St. Johns River and Lake Monroe. Stay close.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Fun Spot America, where it's always huge fun.
Here are your winning lottery numbers.
Spectrum News 13's marine forecast every hour at 21 past the hour.
This sponsorship is brought to you by Morgan & Morgan.
For the people.
No, it has to be 5-star. It's my treat. I could get used to this.
Double chains and so many diamonds. It's the most we sell in the store.
Oh.
If they have your personal information, anyone can be you. Spectrum One keeps your personal data safe and private. That's privacy protection. That's Spectrum One.
There's never been a better time to get away. With a great deal on the Hyundai you've always wanted. With America's best warranty and up to 3 years complimentary maintenance. It's your journey. Own every mile at the Hyundai Getaway Sales Event. Hurry in to get our best deals of the season. Get in and get away. Get a Santa Fe with $1,250 bonus cash and 0 payments for 90 days. Plus, get $1,000 relief cash for those affected by Hurricane Ian.
Brought your baseball glove to basketball practice that turned out to be football practice? Game on, junk sleep. During Mattress Firm's Black Friday sale, get a king bed for the price of a queen or a queen for a twin and save up to $700 on select mattresses. Plus, get a free adjustable base. Shop now at Mattress Firm.
At First Choice Law, we will protect your rights and privacy and work to get winning results without others knowing your business.
Make the right choice. Call First Choice Law.
It is now 1:21 on a Thursday, saying goodbye to Nicole as it pushes off our west coast after making landfall this morning around 3. This was down at Hutchinson Island, just south of Vero Beach. Let's take you over to our coast, our east coast, still dealing with some of the strong winds and waves. This is our Bogan, Munns and Munns Cam, Cocoa Beach, Shepherd Park. We've been watching the camera bounce since yesterday. And waves, they have been up. They're coming down just a bit. Waves still at a foot just off the coast, just off the Cape of wave heights to 14 feet, now under 20 feet offshore, which is some good news. Just another sign Nicole is pulling away. Quick update on our tides today. For those of you at Daytona Beach, we are heading toward that low tide at 3:13, and it looks like our low tide coming up in about an hour and 20 minutes at Cocoa Beach. If you're wondering when high tide comes back at us, it'll be at 8:38 tonight at Cocoa Beach and 9:12 at Daytona Beach. Okay, let's get a look at the visible satellite on this system spiraling away. The center of circulation, it is just offshore of Citrus County, Levy County, and it is sitting over the water. Now, the water temperatures, the sea surface temperatures, are not conducive to any kind of strengthening. So we will keep this a tropical storm here through the evening hours and the first part of tonight as it pulls away. Winds, they are starting to turn. They're now to the southwest here in Clearwater, and that is because the center of circulation is to the north of Clearwater. At Daytona Beach, you just had a recent wind gust to 35 miles per hour. Now, quick check on Klystron 13 with the wind-driven rain. The biggest rain maker right now is this band that is wrapping around the center of circulation from Ocala south through Bushnell, including the Villages and Wildwood. I want to pause down and take a look quickly at the velocities here. Still seeing some gusty wind. Now, the radar is actually shooting way up into this, so winds not quite to 50 miles per hour, but anywhere between, I'd say, 30 and 35, maybe 40, 45 miles per hour, right on the I-75 corridor in that band. So if you're traveling, hold tightly onto that steering wheel, but hopefully you've just stayed home today. All right, river flooding. We are now back to minor flood stage after an earlier reading at St. John's River near Sanford in the moderate flood stage. But major flood stage here in Astor, it looks like we're going to keep major flood stage right into the first part of next week. Let's shake down the 7-day. Rain coverage today is starting to peel back. Tomorrow, a couple of isolated showers, lower 80s, low 80s on Saturday. A front comes on in behind that front, sweeping in the 70s for daytime highs with lots of sunshine Sunday and Monday. As a matter of fact, Monday morning, we're going to wake up with temperatures in the 50s. Again, we'll have more on the river levels, keeping a close eye on them, plus any images that are coming in on the Spectrum News app. I'll have them throughout the afternoon.
Okay, so as Nicole continues to spiral farther and farther away from us, the memories are not going to be going away anytime soon, and certainly a lot of rain that we saw from the storm, certainly not good from areas still trying to dry out after Hurricane Ian more than a month ago. Spectrum News 13's Jesse Canales joining us from Lake Monroe with a look at the impacts where he is.
Whenever St. John's River is affected, that means Lake Monroe is affected. And you can see some water from Lake Monroe right behind me has spilled over onto downtown Sanford. Now this is Seminole Boulevard, one of the busy streets. As you see, it's a part of downtown Sanford, and it also right next to the marina. Some of that marina water came on to the area, and as you can see, it stretches from one side of the street all the way to the other, almost like its own little river. There's some patches of dry areas, so drivers are trying to find alternate routes through those patches to get around downtown. Now right next to Seminole Boulevard, on Seminole Boulevard, is actually the Sanford Civic Center. That's a senior center, and we reached out to Seminole County Emergency Management about that situation to see if any seniors were impacted, if they had to respond to any emergency calls at the senior center, and they said none so far. So that's some really good news. And back to that flooding situation here on Seminole Boulevard. So far going through downtown, the flooding has only been relegated to this street itself. So that's some good news, especially here in the area that's been heavily impacted by flooding because of Hurricane Ian and now Nicole. For now, reporting in Sanford, on scene, Jess Canales, Spectrum News.
This is certainly a very eerie sight from Melbourne. Look at that glow in the sky from transformers. This is video from Aaron Miller from early this morning when the explosions of those transformers were happening. We've been checking in with Florida Power and Light, and there had been thousands of power outages, and there's just some of them unfortunately happening at that point right there. All right, thank you for staying with us for our continued in-depth team coverage of Nicole as it spirals away from Central Florida. We'll have the latest coordinates on what the storm is doing and where it's headed, and we'll also continue to check in with our crews fanned out across Central Florida. Stay with us, please.
During the Chevy Cyber Cash sales event at Bob's Deal Chevy, it's Black Friday savings every day, all month long. Our Thanksgiving gift is new Chevys, less than MSRP. That's right, over 160 new Silverados, Colorados, Equinox, Tahoes, everything's on sale with many less than MSRP. While they last, Bob's Deal has new Chevy trucks and SUVs, no payments till next year. And get up to $5,000 more for your trade. With lifetime oil changes and tire rotations. For real savings, see Steel before you make any deal.
Wellness. No matter how you define it, wellness starts with we. And we envision a future where wellness is easy and flexible care options lead the way. A future that's accessible with comprehensive health plans. And a future that's exceptional, powered by truly personalized care. We're health first, and the future is well.
If you spent time on base at Camp Lejeune prior to 1988 and developed any of these cancers or suffered any of these injuries, you may be eligible for significant financial compensation.
Leaking underground tanks contaminated the drinking water with benzene and other highly carcinogenic chemicals.
There have been numerous reported cases of exposed personnel developing cancer and other serious health conditions. Call Camp Lejeune victims to discuss your case now.
800-592-1842.
Black Friday, Appliance Direct, brand new Maytag, 6,200 pair, in the box. 12 payments, $83 per month, 0 down, 0 interest. 0 down, 0 interest. Plus, $100 cash back direct to you from Maytag. Appliance Direct. If you didn't buy direct,
you paid too much.
All right, 1:30 now here on Spectrum News 13 and Spectrum News in 90 seconds as we continue to monitor the progression of the exit of Tropical Storm Nicole. We'll get the latest on it coming up. But one thing that we saw earlier this morning was this incredible rescue and rescuers putting their training to the test in Cocoa, rescuing a man who had been stuck on his boat that apparently had become unanchored. This was in an inlet in Cocoa. You can see him there on that bright orange boat from the city of Cocoa Fire Rescue. There he is right in the middle with that life preserver around his neck. He was eventually brought to safety, told Spectrum News 13 he is very relieved. And then there was this, the Christmas tree at Cranes Roost Park in Altamont Springs was no match for the wind, unfortunately, if that is the correct terminology. Nonetheless, it blew over. Crews are going to wait till the wind diminishes so they can put it back upright and get into the Christmas spirit on November 10th. Here's your Classroom 13 weather forecast. Dual certified chief meteorologist Brian Carrick. As the hours tick by, the storm gets farther and farther away. Thank goodness.
Yeah, Eric, this is now sitting off the coast of Levy County, and it is moving to the northwest at 15 miles per hour. So it is booking along. And by 7 o'clock tonight, it will be just south of Tallahassee. By tomorrow morning, we'll wake up with this system of tropical depression just south of Atlanta and moving away. Again, right now, though, a tropical storm with winds to 45, still kicking back some squalls. As we see in Marion County, back into Sumter County, a big batch of moderate to heavy rainfall up and down the I-75 corridor, basically stretching from, looks like around Hernando County, right up the I-75 corridor into southern Alachua County. And even some light batches of rain starting to develop in parts of Orange and Osceola County, rolling across the International Airport at this time.
All right, Brian, see you a little bit later. Thank you so much. Look at this. Some incredible damage. This is from Spectrum News 13's Asher Wildman, who was invited inside of a home. Part of the home broke away in Wilbur by the sea, and as Asher had said, it is in the sea. Asher standing by right now to talk much more about that. Asher, it is absolutely incredible to see that and very, very sad. And you spoke to the person who lives in that home. It's absolutely heartbreaking.
Yeah, Eric, you know, there were so many things to monitor all across Central Florida and our Atlantic coast when it came to Tropical Storm Nicole. Obviously, we talk about potential places that are going to flood. We talk about the wind speeds that can knock over power lines or trees. But here along A1A from Daytona Beach Shores, up to Wilbur by the Sea, it was the erosion that had a lot of people on edge, and that was what they were going to be monitoring out here in Volusia County, because after Hurricane Ian, I want to just take you behind me. That's what's left of this portion of the seawall, and we're not trying to get too close, but you can see there's about a 6 foot by 4 foot piece of seawall. That is all that is remaining of this portion of seawall behind this home that I'm standing next to, which, oh, by the way, is now somewhere in the Atlantic. But as far as the other erosion and infrastructure goes, you know, we saw it with Fort Myers Beach, where it just was not prepared for a storm as strong as Hurricane Ian was. And now folks tell me here that manage these properties that there's going to be a lot of changes in the years to come.
So I think that it's going to change the infrastructure and the landscape of this area.
until the water recedes, I don't know how much we can do, but we are certainly going to be pushed back. I'm sure flood zones are going to change. I'm sure the zoning rules are going to change. So this is going to be several years for us to recuperate.
And Eric, 7 homes here on Wilbur by the Sea did unfortunately collapse. And to talk about how much erosion we were talking about here, Sheriff Mike Chitwood had to have mandatory evacuations for 12 condo buildings and 1 hotel over in the Daytona Beach Shores area. 22 homes here in Wilbur by the Sea were forced to evacuate yesterday. Reporting live in Volusia County, Asher Wildman for Spectrum News.
Very sad to see the damage and destruction. Asher, thank you very much. When you're talking about flooding, you have 3 severity levels. And unfortunately, once again, there are some areas of Lake County that are at major flood stage. That is in Astor. And that is also where Spectrum News 13's Rebecca Turco is joining us from, right along the Wild Hog Road area. Rebecca, I'm seeing a lot of standing water, unfortunately, behind you because it's that water that we don't need to see any more of.
Exactly, that water, a lot of it coming from flooding from the St. Johns River. And I want to point us to that yellow house in the distance. That's where sheriff's deputies tell me is the St. Johns River line. So you can imagine the flooding from Nicole pushed it over the edge and brought the water here. And the county's director of emergency management tells me that we were already dealing with moderate flooding from Hurricane Ian. And so Nicole really brought us to this major flood stage level, that next flood stage, and it brought it over to the edge. And we're seeing a difference from yesterday when our crews were here. There was not ankle level water where we're at now. The water was further back, but now we're dealing with some road closures in the area because of the flooding. So we've seen sheriff's deputies make their way through here. We've seen firefighters make their way through, and really they're just kind of checking in, making sure the homes are doing okay. We've been told that power is out to the area. The county did not put power out, so at this point we don't know whether the power companies decided to put the power out as a precaution because of the flooding or whether there was a downed tree. We're working to get more details on that. But at this point, the DEM director tells me that if you're seeing flooding in the area, something we've been repeating, something they're repeating, turn around, don't drown, you gotta be safe. And they're warning people not to go deep into standing water just because us being so close to the St. Johns River, you don't know what's in the water. So something to keep in mind for folks here. Reporting live in Astor, Rebecca Turco, Spectrum News.
Okay, Rebecca, thank you very much. And Rebecca was talking about the power outage in the area where she is, and that's probably one of the most inconvenient parts of an aftermath of a big storm, the loss of electricity, one of the most uncomfortable areas, and there are a lot of people without service this afternoon. Spectrum News 13's Ashley Mills is joining us in the control room this afternoon. Ashley, you've got the latest on the power outage numbers.
That's right, Eric. We are still waiting to hear some details like what Rebecca referred to with some people's power being off, but we are seeing some improvements overall. Of course, there are still many people still with their lights off in their homes, and that will be restored eventually, Duke Energy and FPL tell us. But let's take a look at the map. We'll go to FPL first. They've been reporting all morning long on their live website these outages, and most of those were showing up in Volusia and Brevard counties. Now, we've seen improvements. What I'm talking about is in Volusia County, just over 19,000 outages right now versus 26,000 outages a few hours ago. And in Brevard, just over 80,000 versus 88,000 a few hours ago. So a little improvement there, and that's some good news. When it comes to Duke Energy, we still have outages. On that map, you can see the blue bubbles if we're pulling up that map. And that just shows in various areas across Central Florida what residents are dealing with. If you look just outside of Orlando, the greater Orlando area, you'll see they've got about 44,000 still there. Crews, we're told, will just be out and about as safety permitting throughout the day as can be to just try to get those lights back on for people across the area. So they're urging patience and also for people to continue to be safe. Don't go near down power power lines and the like. If there's flooding, just disconnect your power, they advise, because that could be a danger too. The two don't mix, water and electricity, so a few things to keep in mind there. But overall, they say they're promising their customers to get the lights restored over the next several hours as soon as possible. Eric.
Spectrum News 13's Ashley Mills. Ashley, thank you very much. We'll talk to you in just a little while. Coming up for you, we're going to continue our team coverage, our live in-depth team coverage, and we'll also be hearing from some government leaders of the cities around Central Florida to hear what it's like as we get closer and closer to post-Nicole. And Brian, that is looking better and better as the afternoon progresses.
Yeah, Eric, I'm actually outside of the weather window here seeing some brighter skies. We're trying to spread the clouds out a little bit. We're definitely doing that with the rain showers, although another batch of rain moving up into Polk County and eventually Orange and Osceola. We'll take a look at Kleinstrom 13, who's picking up the rain, and have the timing on this afternoon's rain coming up with Weather on the Ones.
You probably it has speeds up to 1 gig.
I do.
Well, you work here, but have you heard about Spectrum Advanced Wi-Fi? Once you're connected, you're protected because it comes with state-of-the-art security, like this, but for the internet. You can let me in now, and it can handle up to 200 devices.
200?
Basically, Spectrum built you a better internet. These guys are very, very good.
I mean, it is a team effort.
Back to work.
Isn't it?
Spectrum Advanced Wi-Fi, only available on a better kind of internet. Spectrum Internet.
Oh my gosh. Oh, this is crazy.
Oh my God.
Oh, wow.
This holiday season, give yourself or someone you love the gift of a lifetime of smiles. If you're struggling with pain or embarrassment because of your teeth, don't let another holiday pass you by.
How long has it been since you had a nice smile?
30 years.
30 years?
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing.
With so many lawyers on television, how do you choose the right firm for you and your family? I'm John Morgan of Morgan & Morgan, and here's my advice to you. Do your research. As America's largest injury firm, we have more lawyers than any other injury firm in the world. Last year alone, our team answered over 2 million of your calls and recovered over $1 billion for our clients. Our goal is to get you as much as you deserve as quickly as possible. Results matter. Reputation matters. Morgan & Morgan.
I'm Robert Palmer, founder of RP Funding, and home values are at an all-time high, making it a great time to turn your home equity into the cash you need. In fact, smart homeowners are using their equity now more than ever. At RP Funding, we've paid over $80 million in closing costs, so let us pay yours. Call today to see if you qualify for one of our closing cost programs. Call 855-RP-FUNDING. That's 855-773-8634.
Attractions Insider, a weekly Spectrum News podcast with the inside scoop on your favorite Florida attractions. Available now on the Spectrum News app.
It is 1:42 on a Thursday. I'm Brian Carrick. The rest of the team catching some rest. Mallory Nichols will be in this evening as we are, as a team, saying goodbye and good riddance to Nicole. Nicole sitting off the coast now of Levy County. We'll take a look at it in Kleinstrom 13. In its wake, we have sad images. I mean, the water, again, coming into areas it doesn't belong. This is the Tomoka River, so this is obviously an area where it belongs, but not that high. And usually Kathy's sharing these pictures of serenity looking back over the Tomoka River in Ormond Beach in the morning hours. Today, not so much. Looks rather rough, but we also have some debris floating in that water. How about from Ken? This is in South Daytona. A flood. It is where water does not belong, and it does not belong up to the doors, up above the doors of this car and into this house. And that's a lot of the images we are seeing, as well as now because of the water, the waves, the surge. We are seeing structural damage, and this is a collapsed pool at the Ormond Beach Resort, a picture courtesy of Steve. So let's get you out to show you what we've got with the latest here in Nicole. With winds to 45, I mentioned it is now offshore, just offshore of Levy County. It's almost due west of Ocala, moving to the northwest at 15 miles per hour. The wind is expansive on this one still. Tropical storm force winds out 345 miles from the storm, and we are still looking at winds between 40 and 45 miles per hour, even from Orlando and Sanford over toward Leesburg and Ocala. Speaking of Orlando, a live shot from our Weichert Realtors Hallmark Property Skycam as that sky begins to darken once again. Had a couple of lighter breaks in the sky briefly, and now that sky getting dark because of another round of some rain coming in. We'll take you down to Polk County and Osceola County in a second, but a batch of some moderate to heavy rain in Marion and Sumter County. We're finally starting to push this off toward the west here of Lake County, but those of you anywhere from Lake Panasoffkee back through the Wildwood area dealing with that heavy rain. Some batches of light rain, fast-moving little light rain showers up through Orlando, down through Kissimmee, St. Cloud, Southport, and over toward Lake Wales. So through the afternoon, the batch of rain we see will start pushing away out to the north and west. A few spotty showers through the evening hours. Winds start to come down. We'll keep a slight chance for a shower in tomorrow and then dry things out tomorrow afternoon, Saturday and Sunday. A front drops temperatures into the 70s for highs on Sunday.
All right, our crews continue to be fanned out all across Central Florida. We want to get an update now on what's happening at Daytona Beach shores, and Spectrum News 13's Brandon T. Jones.
Yeah, take a look at the scene that we're witnessing right now. Step out of the way just so you can kind of get a better idea. But what you're looking at right now is the Towers Grand Condominium here in Daytona Beach shores. And what we've learned is that this building has been evacuated. They're getting all of the residents who live inside of here out because it is unsafe. And the living conditions right now are uncertain for the immediate future. Earlier in the day, and actually over the last few days, they've been doing surveys behind the building, and this wasn't one of the locations that was a concern coming into this storm. It was actually the heavy winds, the strong waves right behind that have been crashing up against the seawall, and that is what made this current situation so unsafe. So, as I mentioned, I got a chance to speak with the public safety director earlier, and he told me a little bit about what they're experiencing right now and why it was so important for them to go door to door getting these residents out.
We're having to do emergency evacuations. The chief building official for the city came through and checked the backs of these properties and determined that it's not safe to be in here. These buildings are at threat of imminent collapse.
So what we're seeing right here has actually been the situation all up and down A1A. Volusia Sheriff's Office has been going door to door in several condominiums, just making sure they know it is time to get out, because you never know what can happen. And as those waves continue to roar up against the seawalls, they're just doing their best to make sure whatever situation may be unsafe, that they're getting the residents out to proper and safe conditions. Reporting on scene in Daytona Beach shores, Brandon T. Jones, Spectrum News.
Well, we've been seeing a lot of trees down, a lot of water on the roadway, so that means just stay away and stay off the roads if at all possible. Real-time traffic expert Jerry Hume with a breakdown.
We saw it with Ian and we're seeing it with Nicole. Flooded roadways and ramps like this, the I-4 East ramp to Central Florida Parkway. It is blocked right now because of those floodwaters right now. So drivers, if they want to get to like the SeaWorld area, they're going to have to take the beach line instead. And you don't want to, when you encounter standing water on roads, you don't want to go through it. It just takes 6 inches for it to stall your vehicle. Just turn around. You don't want to deal with that hassle. We're looking at other issues out there. We had some of the road and sand coming onto this ramp right here. This is Florida's Turnpike, the northbound ramp from State Road 50 and the 429. And crews, they've been able to kind of clear some of that sand and some of the flooded waters that were also on that ramp right there. They're still working on it, as you can see. And for the most part, we're dealing with a lot of different hazards out there. In fact, we've got this map here which shows all the indicators where we're dealing with issues for drivers right now. That could be down power lines or down trees or flooded roads. The best advice right now, stay at home if you can, and if you encounter anything like that, just turn around. Reporting here in the Real-Time Traffic Center, Jerry Hume, Spectrum News.
And of course, as we get farther and farther away from the storm, something else you want to keep in mind, the possibility of running into down power lines to avoid potential burns or even electrical shocks. The state health department wants you to assume that any wires are live or energized. And if you see any of those, call your power company immediately. Health department leaders advise you to avoid operating any electrical equipment in any standing water, and make sure you call an electrician to inspect equipment that may have gotten wet to make sure it is safe to use. Something you may not have thought about, but very important. By the way, Lynx is also working to get back to normal operations. The fixed bus routes and neighbor Lynx services started at 11 o'clock this morning. Access Lynx will return to full service, at least the plan right now, with a reservation on Friday. You're encouraged to make appointments ASAP.
Watch all month long as Spectrum News 13 celebrates Veterans and Military Families Month. This is Community. This is Spectrum News 13. Exclusively on Spectrum.
Central Florida is my home. I grew up here. In our podcast, Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, Greg Angel, Gary Darling, and I sit down with people creating change and finding solutions.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, available on the Spectrum News app.
Hi, I'm Pat Fisher at Pat Fisher Nissan. With the chip shortages and supply chain issues, we know the new car market is crazy right now. That's why I want to tell you about our huge pre-owned selection at Pat Fisher Nissan. This isn't Facebook Marketplace. Our pre-owns go through a rigorous reconditioning process to get them back in new condition. You can even see how we've improved each vehicle right on our website. Come and check out all our great selection of pre-owned cars, trucks, and SUVs at Pat Fisher Nissan on US 1 in Titusville.
Attention Roundup users. Are you an agricultural worker, farm worker, nursery worker, landscaper, or local highway worker or groundskeeper who has regularly used the weed killer Roundup? If so, have you ever developed cancer or non-Hodgkin's lymphoma? If you answered yes, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. In August of 2018, a jury ordered Monsanto, the makers of Roundup, to pay $289 million when a groundskeeper developed non-Hodgkin's lymphoma after using Roundup. Agricultural workers, farm workers, nursery workers, landscapers, local highway workers, or groundskeepers who have regularly used the weed killer Roundup may be at risk for developing certain types of cancer. If you or a loved one developed cancer after using Roundup, you may be eligible for substantial financial compensation without going to court. Call the Negligence Network 24/7 at 1-800-500-1117 for a free Roundup case evaluation. That's 1-800-500-1117.
Time right now is 1:51. I'm certified chief meteorologist Brian Carrick with you through the afternoon, the early evening, as we watch Nicole move quickly away from us. Some information on Nicole, and maybe you weren't aware that Nicole made landfall as a Category 1 hurricane at 3 o'clock this morning in North Hutchinson Island. This is just south of Vero Beach. It was packing winds to 75 and had a pressure drop down to around 981 millibars at landfall. And again, that was 3 o'clock this morning. So this put Nicole in the record books. It was the latest calendar year hurricane to make landfall on the east coast of Florida on record. It was the first hurricane landfall on the east coast of Florida and the first season with 2 Florida landfalls since 2005. And the shortest span between hurricane landfalls since 2004, 42 days between Ian as well as Nicole. And the cleanup is well underway again, as now our second storm in that short span has created quite a mess. And we have flooding that continues in spots over toward the coast, some inland flooding in a few spots. Lots of cloud cover, wind still kicking up. This is the Flooring Center camera in Claremont. As we take you over to Kleinstrawn 13, we have another batch of some rain that will be coming out of Polk County, eventually into Osceola County. We've got a couple of showers, Osceola and Orange, and then kind of wrapping back toward Claremont and Lake County. County eventually, but right now you're catching a bit of a break. Moderate to heavy rainfall from Lake Panasoffkee, Wildwood, back up through Bellevue, Ocala, then stretching back up toward Gainesville. So if you have travel plans on Interstate 75, first, hopefully you just stayed home today, but if you do have to be on the roads, keep in mind it's going to be a rather gusty one. And that wind is still stirring up some pretty big waves toward the coast. Wave heights just offshore around a foot and get you out a little bit farther from the shore, and we have wave heights to 19 feet. This is down from about 24 feet just a few hours ago. Tide, it is continuing to drop. So we will see the water at the beach kind of go back a bit, and that's some good news. But low tide here at 313 Daytona Beach and 243 Cocoa Beach. If you're wondering when high tide is approaching, back to about 8:38 at Cocoa Beach, 9:12 at Daytona Beach. Broad scope on this system as a whole continues to spin away. It's sitting off the coast of Levy County and actually looks like it's about ready to come on shore again here in the Big Bend. Moving to the northwest at 15 miles per hour. Winds wrapping around. It's still at 24, but coming out of the southwest here in Clearwater, a little more out of the southeast with gusts to 35 recently, Daytona Beach. All right, let's just put the whole forecast together. I like to look at the positive side of this one, and that is the cleanup process can begin in earnest with drier conditions for your Friday, maybe an isolated shower or two, especially Marion and Sumter County, 83. Low 80s on Saturday, then a front sweeps on in. Temperatures in the 70s for highs Sunday and Monday.
Okay, so as Nicole continues to spiral farther and farther away from us, the memories are not going to be going away anytime soon, and certainly a lot of rain that we saw from the storm, certainly not good from areas still trying to dry out after Hurricane Ian more than a month ago. Spectrum News 13's Jesse Canales joining us from Lake Monroe with a look at the impacts where he is.
Whenever St. John's River is affected, that means Lake Monroe is affected. And you can see some water from Lake Monroe right behind me has spilled over onto downtown Sanford. Now this is Seminole Boulevard, one of the busy streets. As you see, it's a part of downtown Sanford, and it's also right next to the marina. Some of that marina water came on to the area, and as you can see, it stretches from one side of the street all the way to the other, almost like its own little river. There's some patches of dry areas, so drivers are trying to find alternate routes through those patches to get around downtown. Now right next to Seminole Boulevard, on Seminole Boulevard, is actually the Sanford Civic Center. That's a senior center, and we reached out to Seminole County Emergency Management about that situation to see if any seniors were impacted, if they had to respond to any emergency calls at the senior center, and they said none so far. So that's some really good news. And back to that flooding situation here on Seminole Boulevard. So far going through downtown, the flooding has only been relegated to this street itself. So that's some good news, especially here in the area that's been heavily impacted by flooding because of Hurricane Ian and now Nicole. For now, reporting in Sanford, on scene, Jess Canales, Spectrum News.
Good afternoon, Central Florida. Here's what's happening in our community, brought to you by the expert injury attorneys at Todd Minor Law.
Interest rates are still low, making it a great time to use your home equity to pay off high-interest credit cards. Call today to see if you qualify for one of our no-closing cost programs.
New Teeth Now has affected my life in ways I never expected. It's been 4 years now, and it's been a wonderful experience. Being able to have good oral health is an integral part of having good health in general, and I'm living proof of it. It's made me thinner, it's made me healthier, made me happier. After working with New Teeth Now, I was getting all the nicknames Hollywood and various other things because I had a smile I could show.
If you have a mouthful of bad teeth or advanced gum disease, if you're just miserable with your dentures, or you've been told you don't have enough bone for implants, there is hope. At Florida Dental Implants, we've helped thousands of patients who are ready to give up, and in just one day, we can help you too.
You never get a chance to have a second first impression, and being able to smile, greet friends, and make new acquaintances is an absolute plus.
Begin living a lifetime of smiles. Call today for our special pricing or visit newteethnow.com.
I was crashed into by a reckless driver, and attorney Dan Newland got me a huge settlement, $875,000. Thank you, Dan.
Hi, I'm attorney Dan Newland. Our law firm recovers millions of dollars every single week for accident victims from right here in Central Florida. So if you've been involved in a car accident, call me now. I'll fight for every dollar that you deserve at 407-888-8000. And that's 407-888-8000.
Dan, thank you for winning my case.
Yep, we've got you covered. Sell, buy home loans, OfferPad can help you do it all. In fact, we can bundle everything for you. Sell this home, buy your next, and include a home loan. You could save thousands.
Can you tell our son he needs to find his own place?
Who's gonna make me breakfast now? Huh? Come on, Dad. Dad!
No matter what your real estate need is, OfferPad can help you with literally almost everything. OfferPad, your all-in-one way to sell, buy, mortgage a home.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Bogan Munz & Munz. When it comes to your injury case, you have a choice. Bogan Munz & Munz.
Okay, it's the top of the hour now. Eric Levy here. Spectrum News in 90 seconds. Nicole losing steam quickly, but it was a strong storm this morning and overnight. Look at what it was doing. This is a very familiar sight. It is transformers blowing and then the power out, and there is power outages to many thousands of people, but the numbers of power outages slowly lowering. Look at this from this morning in Brevard County, a daring rescue. Rescuers had to pull a man from a boat that had come unanchored in an inlet in Cocoa. The man was put on that rescue boat and brought to safety, checked out by emergency crews, told Spectrum News 13 he was relieved. Big hazards on the roads. This is an example of what you're seeing in south of downtown Orlando. Large trees down, other areas underwater, some roads impassable. So make sure you just stay home if you don't have to go out. Here is your Class Trend 13 forecast.
And Eric, the video you were sharing from downtown Orlando earlier this morning. Let's take you outside, show you what we've got as far as Tropical Storm Nicole, still packing winds to 45 miles per hour here at just shortly after 2. Moving to the northwest at 15 miles per hour, leaving behind it quite a mess. Rivers are up and quite a bit of damage as well. Quick check on Klystron 13 as rain bands continue. Some moderate rain over parts of Marion and Sumter County, some spotty showers in Orange, Osceola, and Polk.
All right, Brian, thank you very much. Let's head on over to Osceola County now. We want to get an update from government officials. Volusia County, excuse me, I beg your pardon. We're going to Volusia County to get an update on what's happening. Let's listen.
At approximately 3 a.m. this morning, Hurricane Nicole made landfall in the Vero Beach area as a Category 1 hurricane. The storm hit Volusia County as a tropical storm, bringing gusts of 70 miles an hour in some areas in the county. The storm is continuing to move northwest across Florida and into the Gulf of Mexico. Even though the storm has left our area, danger still lurks in Volusia County. We ask you to remain cognizant of additional weather-related events that can transpire throughout the remainder of this afternoon and into the evening and even into tomorrow. More than 34,000 residents in Volusia County experienced a power outage, but fortunately, our partners at the utility companies have been working diligently to restore power. Please contact your utility company if you need to report a downed power line, a power outage, or to receive an update regarding power reconnection. Contact information for your utility company can be found on our PIN site, volusia.org/PIN, P-I-N, as well as by calling our Citizens Information Center. That number is 866-345-0345. There is one pending storm-related injury which involved a tree and a vehicle. More information on this incident will be made available when we glean more information. Additionally, 3 high water rescue requests were made in the southern area of the county, and we are proud to report that at this time there are no storm-related deaths. Nearly 200 people utilized our emergency shelters. 33 people were in special needs medical shelters. And also the shelters were able to provide safety to 26 pets who were brought with them. The shelters remain open until further notice. The Daytona Beach International Airport was fortunate as it did not sustain any significant damage. The airport intends to open the terminal early tomorrow morning around 4 a.m. and the airfield a few hours thereafter. Please contact your airline for any flight updates. With that, I'm going to pass it on to County Manager Mr. George Rechtenwald. George?
Thank you, Kevin. Road conditions in some of the areas remain very hazardous. We can still expect to have high winds for the next few hours, and water has covered or significantly damaged roads throughout the county. If you must travel and you come upon a road that is covered in water, if you see signs of any damage, please turn around. We do have a few major road closures to announce. Up in Flagler Beach, A1A from South 7th Street to South 16th Street is closed. A1A is also closed in both directions at Clubhouse Drive and Ormond by the Sea, which is just a little south of the Gamble-Rogers State Recreational Area. We've also been notified that Riverside Drive through Ormond Beach and Holly Hill is closed. And then on US 1, there's a lot of tidal flooding at Dunlawton down to Rose Bay. The western base of the Seabreeze Bridge is underwater, as well as the western sides of the Main Street, ISB, and Dunlawton bridges. Holly Hill is experiencing major tidal flooding, especially in the areas close to the Halifax. This is also true in New Smyrna Beach and in the Turnbull Bay area as well. On behalf of the sheriff, because of the persistent danger, as well as to allow an unobstructed path for officials to assess and inspect coastal properties, the curfew has been extended specifically for the areas east of the Intercoastal Waterway until 7 a.m. tomorrow, November 11th. Now, this curfew does not apply to regular members of the law enforcement, employees of local businesses or industries, government entities that are traveling to and from their job, and all the emergency workers, of course, that are providing help in that area. But they must have proper identification. We have preliminary assessment reports of 11 compromised structures in Daytona Beach shores and over by the sea. Unfortunately, we anticipate more structures will be identified as compromised as these inspections continue. If you live on the coastline or have plans to stay at a hotel or motel on the coastline, please do not return at this time. Please allow our officials time to determine if a structure is safe. Just because there are no physical signs of damage, there could be underlying foundation damage or other issues that may not be apparent. The structural damage along our coastline is unprecedented. We've never experienced anything like this before, so we ask your patience as we make our assessments. As always, your safety is our top priority. This is going to be a long road to recovery. At this time, I'm going to turn it over to Clay Irvin, our Director of Growth and Resource Management, who will discuss some of the next steps for our coastal structures.
Thank you. Good afternoon. The efforts from both the city and the county to assess the damage that has occurred is ongoing right now. It is a very coordinated effort. We're making sure that we are able to get the properly certified inspectors out there. We are also utilizing some of our private consultants who are structural engineers who are well versed in what has to be done in regards to coastal armoring, and also, more importantly, ensuring that these structures are safe and sound and that our residents and visitors can return to the beach side. This is not a quick process. We're doing the best we can to get folks over there right now. As I'm speaking, I know that Daytona Beach Shores, Daytona Beach, Volusia County, and others are conducting these site-by-site inspections to ensure that the buildings themselves are safe. And as George pointed out, the critical aspect is that you may drive by this on A1A and it may look like it's safe and sound. But unfortunately, we're not seeing what's happening from the ocean side. And when you start looking at these, and if you have some of the older construction, which does not necessarily meet the standards that are in place today, that can result in a great deal of damage that is not visible to the eye. The main thing is we want to make sure that these things are safe and sound. So there will be this preliminary analysis where we will be going in and documenting what we see and allowing for those who can return to return. Those who are not able to, we will work with them to address their sheltering needs in the future. Other than that, right now we're just going to have to go through and get all the data and get all the information available so that we can make the necessary decisions for the safety of the public.
Thank you, Clay. Jim Judge, Emergency Management Director. Just a quick update on the weather. We still have some pretty breezy conditions out there from 20 to 25 miles an hour. We can have an occasional gust up to 40 miles an hour, but conditions are improving. And we hope by early this evening that a lot of the winds will have subsided and moving out of the area. We do anticipate only about a ½ inch of rain over this evening. However, into tomorrow and even into the weekend, we can continue with some gusty conditions and an occasional rainfall, but we don't anticipate that rain to be anything significant. We are under a tropical storm warning still, and also coastal flood warning. And again, as has been mentioned by the manager and Mr. Clay Irvin, you know, those conditions along the Halifax River and certainly along the beaches are continuing to be quite dangerous. But the wave action, you know, we're still up 10 to foot breaking waves all along the coast, so very dangerous conditions there. Astor has gone back up to major flood stage. So, you know, with the fact that the northern winds have impeded the flow, and with some of the rainfall to the south, we have seen conditions all along the St. John's, but especially at Astor as we get back into flood stage. We will again experience a high tide this evening at 9:42, and again we're looking at a full moon. So conditions continue to be very difficult all along the beaches, and we just urge safety, as Mr. Irvin mentioned, and our director, you know, that life safety is the most important right now. So be smart about what you're doing, stay home, stay off the roads, and let us do our jobs out there. So with that, let me introduce Beach Safety Tammy Melfors.
Thank you, Jim. Even though the worst part of the storm has moved on, danger is still present in our community along the beach. As stated by our county manager, there is a curfew in place for areas east of the Intracoastal Waterway. Please adhere to this curfew and give first responders the space to do their job. If you go anywhere near the beach, you're putting your life in jeopardy. The current state of the ocean is unforgiving. You might not make it out if you step foot into the water. We are flying the double red flags. There's a massive amount of debris in the water and on the beach, large waves, and strong rip currents. Beach conditions will constantly be changing over the next few days and weeks as we work to secure our coastline and assess the true extent of the damage caused by Hurricane Nicole and Ian. At this time, we are not sure when the beach will be safe to visit again, and it is extremely important to pay attention to our signs and barricades and use common sense. Your safety is our #1 concern, and right now the beach is not safe. The water isn't the only danger present along the coast. We have not yet had the opportunity to assess coastal structures such as piers and walkways. Even during low tide, these structures may collapse without notice. At this time, the beach is the most dangerous place to be in the county. We will work hard as we possibly can to make it safe and accessible once again, but it's going to take time. To stay up to date with the most current beach conditions, please download our Volusia Beaches app and follow us on social media. There will be a time to return to the beach, but now is not the time. And now I want to turn it back over to our Community Information Director, Kevin Captain.
Thank you, Deputy Chief Malphurs. So just to recap, a curfew is in effect until 7 a.m. tomorrow, November the 11th, for all areas east of the Intercoastal Waterway. Other than officials conducting an assessment and inspection of our coastal properties, there should be no one going near the beach. This includes staying away from all coastal structures. To go anywhere near the coast right now is risking your life. And finally, as Mr. Rechtenwald and Mr. Irvin have indicated, please be patient and allow the appropriate authorities time to assess and inspect the structurally compromised properties on our coast. The damage to our community has just received something we've never experienced before. So we ask, please, don't risk going in or near the property along the coastline until it has been deemed safe by the appropriate officials. And as Mr. Judge indicated, we're going to have another high tide this evening, influenced with a king tide, so there could be more damage. At this time, we'll take questions.
Hi, Sheldon Gardner, Daytona Beach News Journal. So I take this to mean that residents should not return home if they live in the beaches or on the coast. Is that accurate?
If they must go home and they have nowhere else to go, they can go home. But what our message is that we want people to stay clear of those damaged structures. You know, we realize there's people that live on the beach side. And if you have a legitimate reason to go back and forth over the bridges, Sheriff Chitwood has closed the bridges out of concern for safety. And we just can't have spectators going to the damaged areas of the coastline to check it out. It's too dangerous. And that's essentially why the bridges are closed. It doesn't apply to law enforcement or to people with valid reasons, legitimate reasons to go back and forth. You know, if you're traveling to and from work, for example, and you can demonstrate a valid proof of such, then law enforcement will make that situational decision. But if there's any index of suspicion that you're going over the bridge to, you know, check out and be a spectator, it's not safe.
You mentioned 11 structures that are compromised. What does that mean specifically, and are there people still in any of those structures?
I think each structure is different right now. As of last, we've got 19 hotels or condo buildings and 40 single-family homes that are compromised, and that what is a general term to apply for a various amount of damage. So there are some there's some buildings that have been partially collapsed, and some that need to have an engineering inspection. So it's all across the board.
Are there people used to leave? Like, there were several condos in Daytona Beach Shores that were on the edge, and people were trying to evacuate those condos. So are there still folks in there in some of these buildings?
I'd have to follow up with the sheriff on that, but what I can tell you is that Sheriff Chitwood and his deputies went door to door, as did our cities and municipalities and officials in advance of the storm, and even up to just hours before the storm, knocking on those coastal properties, making sure that the people knew the risk, and to the extent that they give them a stern message. Did everyone heed the warning? There could be a few outliers.
Do you have a sense of how many people are displaced from these compromised buildings, and any sense of how long it might take for a decision to be made, whether they can return, or if they can return, you know, how long that might take?
The number is a moving target at this point because the buildings are continuing to be assessed. And as far as, the timing question, like Mr. Irvin had mentioned, every building is going to be different, and so we can't give you a time. And that's where we emphasize patience. We really emphasize patience with this. This is something that's going to require multiple disciplines and multiple teams to go in there and work collaboratively to find out, when it's safe to go back, if it's safe, and then those decisions for returning will be made. So it's just too hard to tell the time right now.
Who should people call if they're one of these individuals who's been displaced?
At this time, we would recommend they call the Citizens Information Center, 866-345-0345. Again, every situation is going to be a little bit different, but we've got a team of people here at the CIC, and we're working collaboratively with the county officials, with the city officials, and with our partners. So we'll definitely try to take those on a case-by-case basis.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All right, with that, we certainly are happy that you listened to the conference and heed our messages. Again, it's going to take a little time for recovery, but we will prevail. And with that, we'll close today's conference. We'll keep you up to date. We want you to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Emergency Management Facebook, YouTube. We've got our PIN site, which is volusia.org/PIN. Or again, I'll reiterate the Citizens Information number again. That's 386-345-0345. With that, we'll close today's conference. Take care. Stay safe.
All right, you've been listening to a news conference from Volusia County officials, and I think the big takeaway is that there are no storm-related deaths to report in Volusia County. Certainly that is some good news. What is not so good is the fact that there is a storm injury that is being reported. Vague information at this point, but it is in relation to a tree versus a vehicle. And also there were 3 high-water rescue requests made in southern Volusia County during the duration of the storm, which, keep in mind, we are still under tropical storm warnings here in Central Florida because the wind gusts have not come down necessarily, at least in gusts, below tropical storm force. But you did hear them talking about the fact that the power is slowly coming on to customers, and that I would imagine that will be matched as well here in Central Florida and other areas that are out, because thousands of people, the numbers are probably irrelevant now, but thousands of customers are without power. There are at least a dozen compromised structures in Volusia County and then in Daytona Beach shores and other areas. Compromised, though, is kind of the generic term that they were given because it really just depends on the strength, if you will, or how structurally sound, that's the term I was looking for, structurally sound these are. But we did see, of course, in other areas of the coastline from Asher Wildman and Wilbur by the sea, we saw the house, the part of the house that actually fell into the water, and that was made worse by Nicole, but it was weakened initially by Ian. So that is certainly something that we are seeing, and we've never seen anything, we've never experienced anything like this before. Very chilling words from leaders of Volusia County who have been through a number of storms in Central Florida. This is something that they have never experienced before as they assess the damage left behind by, when it came ashore or when it came through Volusia County, was a tropical storm, hitting home our point to you that there's no such thing as a tropical storm. But the bottom line is the storm is pulling away from Central Florida slowly but surely. Let's get the latest coordinates now with your weather on the ones in the Weather Center.
All right, thank you, Eric. We are still seeing some of the outer bands from Tropical Storm Nicole as it pulls back away from our area. It looks like it's sitting just along the coast up into Levy County. We'll take a look at Klystron 13 coming up. These are some of the images of the damage that is being left behind. This is from the Flagler County Sheriff's Department up at Flagler Beach. The A1A compromised and obviously washing away in spots. You also heard Volusia County saying the A1A closed in parts of their county, especially around Ormond by the Sea. Seeing images like this takes me back to Hurricane Matthew, which did do some destruction on the A1A and a very rapid pace to get that fixed. So I'm sure crews are going to start working immediately. Let's take a look at Ormond Beach, river out of its banks, and Whitney saying actually some mullet jumping in the backyard at this time. No swimming going on over at Ormond Beach at the Ormond Beach Resort. The pool has collapsed. This picture coming from Steve. And our last picture from James. This is Sunrise Park in Volusia County in Island with the water around it at this time. All right, let's get you over to Klystron 13, show you the outer bands that are still rotating around, especially into Marion and Sumter County right now. Some moderate to heavy rain just to the west of Interstate 75. So if you're traveling Interstate 75, it will still be a bit on the slow going side of things. Let's get you down to the metro, show you that here in Orlando, we're watching a couple of pockets of very light rain, one that stretches from out toward Waterford Lakes Town Center and where 50 meets the 408, and then a new batch coming up over SeaWorld, stretching back down through Campbell, Kissimmee, and then on down, it looks like this takes it right down to Poinciana and Solavita, as we are watching some of those fast-moving showers being driven by some wind. Winds are still sustaining themselves and gusting up over 25 to 40 miles per hour, sustained of 25 to 35, and the wind is starting to come down just a bit here in Sanford, but our listed.com cam still showing us the gustier conditions. I also have some white caps if I were to swing this camera around and look out toward Lake Monroe. Wave heights, they are running quite high, just offshore around a foot, out a few miles offshore, anywhere between 15 and 20 feet. So just avoid the waters altogether. You heard Volusia County officials discussing the tides for us. We're now heading into low tide. Cocoa Beach 243, Daytona Beach a low tide of 313. The flip side of that, we will be keeping an eye on the tides as they come back up. High tide at 838 Cocoa Beach, high tide there at Daytona Beach running at 912. Okay, I've got a new 7-day forecast here I'm shaking out for you. Updated information. I just put this together for you. Tomorrow I'll go with a 20% shower chance. Just a couple of isolated showers, breezy. Temperatures are back into the 80s as we do see some sunshine sneaking through those clouds. Ample sunshine Saturday, even with the approach of a front behind that front. We do drop back into the 70s for highs Sunday and Monday. Overnight lows Monday morning in the 50s.
Okay, so as Nicole continues to spiral farther and farther away from us, the memories are not going to be going away anytime soon, and certainly a lot of rain that we saw from the storm, certainly not good from areas still trying to dry out after Hurricane Ian more than a month ago. Spectrum News 13's Jesse Canales joining us from Lake Monroe with a look at the impacts where he is.
Whenever St. Johns River is affected, that means Lake Monroe is affected. And you can see some water from Lake Monroe right behind me has spilled over onto downtown Sanford. Now this is Seminole Boulevard, one of the busy streets. As you see, it's a part of downtown Sanford, and it also right next to the marina. Some of that marina water came on to the area, and as you can see, it stretches from one side of the street all the way to the other, almost like its own little river. There's some patches of dry areas, so drivers are trying to find alternate routes through those patches to get around downtown. Now right next to Seminole Boulevard, on Seminole Boulevard, is actually the Sanford Civic Center. That's a senior center, and we reached out to Seminole County Emergency Management about that situation to see if any seniors were impacted, if they had to respond to any emergency calls at the senior center, and they said none so far. So that's some really good news. And back to that flooding situation here on Seminole Boulevard. So far going through downtown, the flooding has only been relegated to this street itself. So that's some good news, especially here in the area that's been heavily impacted by flooding because of Hurricane Ian and now Nicole. For now, reporting in Sanford, on scene, Jess Canales, Spectrum News.
Of course, the storm interrupted a lot of vacation flights and such, whether it be for business or pleasure. At one point, more than 1,000 flights were canceled because of the tropical storm. Data from FlightAware shows it impacted whether you were flying here in the States or internationally. 900 were canceled yesterday. Orlando International Airport being the most impacted destination. This is what it looked like yesterday before the airport closed. The airport remains closed, and you can see some of the precautions with the plastic draped over the computer monitors right there. All right, thank you for staying with us for our continued in-depth team coverage of Nicole as it spirals away from Central Florida. We'll have the latest coordinates on what the storm is doing and where it's headed, and we'll also continue to check in with our crews fanned out across Central Florida. Stay with us, please.
Local Forecast is brought to you by Great Southeast Flooring America in Melbourne, where it costs no more to do it right.
Black Friday. Appliance Direct, brand new in the box Maytag, 8630 front load pair. Not available at chain retailers. 12 payments, $167 per month, 0 down, 0 interest. 0 down, 0 interest. Appliance Direct. If you didn't buy direct,
you paid too much.
Attention! Did you or a loved one live at or near Marine Base Camp Lejeune in North Carolina between 1953 and 1987? If so, listen closely for this important legal announcement. From 1953 to 1987, Marines and their family members at Camp Lejeune drank water that was contaminated with hazardous toxins. The toxins found in the water at Camp Lejeune may cause health issues, especially later in life. Types of health issues associated with water at Camp Lejeune are numerous. If you or a loved one lived near Camp Lejeune between 1953 and 1987, you may be entitled to substantial financial compensation without going to court. Even if you were turned down in the past, a new law can allow you to file a claim today. If you or a loved one spent time near Camp Lejeune, call the Negligence Network to find out if you're eligible for financial compensation. There's no fee unless we win your case. Call 1-800-400-6949. That's 1-800-400-6949. 1-800-400-6949.
If you spent time on base at Camp Lejeune prior to 1988 and developed any of these cancers or suffered any of these injuries, you may be eligible for significant financial compensation.
Leaking underground tanks contaminated the drinking water with benzene and other highly carcinogenic chemicals.
There have been numerous reported cases of exposed personnel developing cancer and other serious health conditions. Call Camp Lejeune victims to discuss your case now.
800-563-1184.
Proudly celebrating 25 years as part of the Central Florida community. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
Spectrum News in 90 seconds here at 30 minutes after the hour. Eric Levy with you as we continue our team coverage of exiting Tropical Storm Nicole. And we want to show you what we were watching live as it was happening in Brevard County. Rescuers putting their training to the test. That is a rescue boat from the City of Cocoa Fire Department, Fire Rescue, after they had plucked a man from a boat that had become unanchored. It was floating in the very choppy water in an inlet in Cocoa, and there he is safely being rescued and brought back to land. We talked to him earlier today, said he was relieved, but just shaken up. And then, of course, the tree in Altamont Springs, the Christmas tree at Cranes Roost Park, blew over from the wind. Once the winds really subside, crews will be out there to put it back upright. All right, here's your Klystron 13 weather forecast.
Thank you, Eric. At 2:31, our winds are still strong, but not to that strength, thank goodness. We are watching outer bands from Tropical Storm Nicole still passing over us, especially into western Marion County, northern Sumter County, but a new batch of some light rain, wind-driven rain up through central Orange into Osceola, as well as down into Polk County. And we're going to see this continue off and on through the evening hours. As we get you through 5 o'clock, looks like a few spotty showers and gusty wind. Looks like a mostly cloudy sky at 7 and 9. Temperatures through the evening hours holding steady in the mid-70s.
Okay, we want to get back with Spectrum News 13's Asher Wildman, who's been looking at the damage and downright destruction in Wilbur by the Sea. He was looking at a house, which part of it went into the water.
Coming into Tropical Storm Nicole, a lot of the things that they were monitoring here in Volusia County was the infrastructure, in large part because of the erosion. Following Hurricane Ian, a lot of the seawalls and a lot of barriers that were protecting homes and properties were already damaged. And there's a portion behind me you can see of a seawall. That's all that remains here. There was just not enough time or preparation to get these seawalls back up to a point where they were going to protect these homes and these property lines. Speaking to a property manager, this is a lot of vacation rentals in this area, was explaining that after this storm now, there's probably going to be new building codes, and there's going to probably be new ways that they develop this area if, in fact, these homes are going to be built once again. So it was the infrastructure that they were worried about. It was the infrastructure that failed. The seawall is down. There's barely any pieces remaining here on this portion of A1A. Reporting on scene in Volusia County, Asher Wildman for Spectrum News.
And unfortunately, this storm is now considered a deadly storm, and 2 people were electrocuted. Spectrum News 13's Josh Miller reporting from Orange County, where fire crews responded.
Here at the crossway of Bayfront Avenue and Pershing Parkway, as you can see behind me, a lot of lights. Orange County Sheriff Department and the Orange County Fire Rescue, they reported that 2 people were electrocuted due to a down power line. One was pronounced dead. The other was taken to a nearby hospital. As you can see behind me, some fire rescue analyzing the down power line here, if you want to follow me, right here. And then the police just trying to keep this area safe as the down power line is actually on the other side, as well as more do not cross line on the back. That's all the info we have now regarding this right now. We'll keep you updated as we get more. Reporting for Spectrum News, Josh Miller.
Well, Hurricane Ian caused flooding. Tropical Storm Nicole made it worse. The St. Johns River overflowing again, putting it at major flood stage thanks to Nicole, and that is specifically in Astor. By the way, that is the highest of the 3 flood severity levels. Spectrum News 13's Rebecca Turco joining us from Wild Hog Road with what she's seeing.
We are dealing with significant flooding here in Astor, just by the St. Johns River, to the point where some roads had to be closed because of the flooding. And I want to take you this way to point you out to this yellow house there. That's where sheriff's deputies tell me is the St. Johns River line. And so we're seeing flooding from the river making its way to these nearby streets, to these nearby homes. Now, the county's director of emergency management tells me that Nicole really piled on to the flooding that we'd already been seeing here from Hurricane Ian. She says the area was at a moderate flood stage from that storm, and that Nicole really just brought it to this next highest level. So the water here has to recede naturally, we're told. Right now there's no timeline on when that's expected to happen. DEM is working with their National Weather Service partners to monitor the area and to provide some more information. The area we're at right now, we're at about ankle level water at this point, but further back the flooding is at feet at some points. So, and we are working to get some more details from the county and from everything, but right now we do know that power for parts of Astor is out, and folks who live in flooded areas, they're being urged not to drive past the heavy floodwaters, obviously not to drive where the roads are closed, and not to go far in standing water. Reporting in Astor, Rebecca Turco, Spectrum News.
And I want you to see what this looks like in Martin County. This is a video of some storm surge and a restaurant that was partially flooded. Water rose as high as some of the tables. Look at that. Water looks to be at least knee height in some areas, but probably deeper in many others. And of course, as we get farther and farther away from the storm, something else you want to keep in mind, the possibility of running into down power lines to avoid potential burns or even electrical shocks. The state health department wants you to assume that any wires are live or energized. And if you see any of those, call your power company immediately. Health department leaders advise you to avoid operating any electrical equipment in any standing water, and make sure you call an electrician to inspect equipment that may have gotten wet to make sure it is safe to use. Something you may not have thought about, but very important. Well, here's what the storm did in Cocoa. Knocked down a big tree there, and this scene was repeated across many areas. Spectrum News 13's Will Robinson-Smith was around the area during the early morning hours. You can see a lot of tree limbs down, and as the roadways do become cleared, you'll want to, of course, watch out for any other limbs or branches that might get in your way. All right, well, some good news. We got an update from Walt Disney World. They didn't have any kind of damage from the storm. We did get an update with just some minimal debris. The power outage, there was nothing like that either. And a phased reopening started at noon today. By the way, Lynx is also working to get back to normal operations. The fixed bus routes and neighbor Lynx services started at 11 o'clock this morning. Access Lynx will return to full service, at least the plan right now, with a reservation on Friday. You're encouraged to make appointments ASAP, though. Of course, we want to make sure you are up to date completely as we get farther and farther away from the storm and into better weather conditions. Check out mynews13.com. And also, if you have the Spectrum News app on your phone or tablet, have the push alerts notification turned on.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by Gary Yeomans Ford, the lowest pricing and largest selection. Florida says, go Yeomans.
Spectrum is America's leading internet provider, delivering gig speeds to more homes coast to coast. Now, Spectrum Internet is even faster, with speeds starting at 300 megabits per second. That means more speed for all of your devices. And with 99.9% network reliability, you can stream, work, or game faster than ever. So no matter what you do online, with starting speeds of 300 megabits, you can do it better with Spectrum Internet.
Did you know that Morgan & Morgan has a dedicated insurance division with an army of lawyers completely focused on fighting for clients who were denied or lowballed on their insurance claims? We've gone toe-to-toe with the insurance companies, and guess what? Just because your insurance company says no, that doesn't mean they're right. We have verdicts and billions of dollars recovered to prove it. So if your insurance claim was lowballed or denied, dial Pound Law on your cell phone and we'll take a second look. There's only one Morgan & Morgan for the people.
At Bears Furniture, shop the brands you love for less during our Veterans Day sale. Save 40% plus an extra 10% store-wide, including 10% off all Lexington products. Plus, Bears salutes all veterans with free in-home delivery, like this gorgeous loft bed, only $8.98. Or relax in the living room of your dreams with this luxurious leather sectional at the guaranteed lowest price. We have thousands of items in stock and ready for holiday delivery through Sunday only. Wear Bears.
Well, hello, Winn-Dixie. Delivery! Right along! Shotgun!
Okay.
Winn-Dixie delivery in as quick as 2 hours, over. At the same great in-store prices, over.
That was quick. They just really love great prices. Huh.
Win-win twins for the delivery win!
Just about 2:41 on a Thursday. I'm Brian Carrick with Mallory Nichols. I will share some images coming in on the Spectrum News app coming up here at 2:51 and have an update on where we are currently looking at Nicole, where it's headed. Outside, they're still dealing with some of the outer bands. This is a live shot from our Weikert Realtors Hallmark property, Skycam downtown. The haze is one of those passing squalls. Yes, the wind kind of driving the rain, so an ugly day overall. Let's get over to Klystron 13 and show you the bands that are coming in. The heaviest band right now, by the way, is sitting up in Marion and Sumter County, and actually kind of pushing away from Sumter County. But west of Interstate 75, we've got a pretty good batch of some rain, and it is being driven by the wind. As we take you back down, I want to show show you here in Orlando, pockets of some rain. As a matter of fact, we'll start north suburbs. I'm seeing new developments back up just west of Deltona over toward the Lake Mary area, Lake Monroe, and then stretched right down I-4 through downtown Orlando, and then all the way down toward I-Drive, extending over SeaWorld, and then on down through Kissimmee, Point Siena, and Solavita. And these are racing off to the north now on a gusty wind. Winds that have recently gusted 35 to 40 right up and down the I-4 corridor from Orlando all the way back to Daytona Beach. These winds are going to continue until we can get Nicole pushing farther and farther away. And it is doing so. It is now sitting up in the Big Bend and continuing to move off toward the northwest at 15 miles per hour. As we get a little closer here on the visible satellite, what I've seen off and on, a couple of holes developing in the clouds. So I'll be keeping an eye on sky cams because it looks like we're trying to get some sunshine going in Brevard, Eastern Orange, and Osceola County. As we walk through the evening hours here, timing-wise, we will see big breaks in any rain. There's still a few lingering bands coming in. This is 4 o'clock, Lake County, Polk County. Notice at 6, any thunderstorm activity or heavy rain is well offshore out over the Gulf Stream. 8 o'clock, still a couple of lingering showers through the overnight. Looks like we'll keep most of the activity up toward Flagler, northern Volusia, northern Lake, and Marion County. Get you into the wee hours of Friday. It looks like a couple of showers early on, and then a couple of pop-up showers in the afternoon, although rain coverage tomorrow is only 20%. So as we put it together for you overnight, mostly cloudy and breezy, isolated showers, temperatures either side of 70. Your Friday, partly sunny and breezy, isolated showers, high temperatures back up into the low to mid 80s. Find out what a cold front does to our weekend forecast coming up in less than 10 minutes.
All right, our crews continue to be fanned out all across Central Florida. We want to get an update now on what's happening at Daytona Beach shores, and Spectrum News 13's Brandon T. Jones.
Yeah, take a look at the scene that we're witnessing right now. Step out of the way just so you can kind of get a better idea. But what you're looking at right now is the Towers Grand Condominium here in Daytona Beach shores. And what we've learned is that this building has been evacuated. They're getting all of the residents who live inside of here out because it is unsafe. And the living conditions right now are uncertain for the immediate future. Earlier in the day, and actually over the last few days, they've been doing surveys behind the building, and this wasn't one of the locations that was a concern coming into this storm. It was actually the heavy winds, the strong waves right behind that have been crashing up against the seawall, and that is what made this current situation so unsafe. So, as I mentioned, I got a chance to speak with the public safety director earlier, and he told me a little bit about what they're experiencing right now and why it was so important for them to go door to door getting these residents out.
We're having to do emergency evacuations. The chief building official for the city came through and checked the backs of these properties and determined that it's not safe to be in here. These buildings are at threat of imminent collapse.
So what we're seeing right here has actually been the situation all up and down A1A. Volusia Sheriff's Office has been going door to door in several condominiums, just making sure they know it is time to get out because you never know what can happen. And as those waves continue to roar up against the seawalls, they're just doing their best to make sure whatever situation may be unsafe, that they're getting the residents out to proper and safe conditions. Reporting on scene in Daytona Beach shores, Brandon T. Jones, Spectrum News.
All right, and Spectrum News 13's Katie Straight now gives us an update on what she's seeing in Daytona Beach.
This is the reality for many South Daytona folks. Now, we've been here for quite some time, and the waters continue to rise into this neighborhood. Now, some folks not only are seeing water outside their properties, but inside. One resident told us they are seeing at least 2 feet of water in their kitchen. And we also talked with 2 kayakers kayaking through their neighborhood, and they tell us they've never seen anything like this and hope they never see anything like this in the future.
Yeah, honestly, Beach Street is it's gone, dude. It's gone. I want to say all the houses from Bellevue to wilder or shady it is, yeah, on shady, there's water in all their houses.
Now, we're also seeing some people drive through these floodwaters. That is definitely not recommended at this time. These floodwaters can be anywhere from 4 to 5 feet, and you just never know what your car can handle. So it's important to stay inside, be safe, and if you absolutely have to go outside for something, to do so in a safe manner and to avoid any debris or floodwater. On scene in South Daytona, Katie Strite, Spectrum News.
I tell you what, if there's one thing that has taken a beating from many tropical systems is the Flagler Beach Pier, and Flagler Beach as a whole was hit hard by Nicole. Spectrum News 13's Nick Popham has a look at what's happening. This is what he's been watching as well, the beating to the pier.
The work continues here at Flagler Beach to replace some of the roadway that was washed away by erosion. You can see some of the crews have laid down a lot of dirt here right along the Atlantic Ocean here at A1A, which is just south of Flagler Beach Pier. If you can take a look at some of the video that we shot earlier, you can see just how strong these waves were and how much they were crashing up against the wall that it was holding a lot of that dirt that kept these roads up, and because of that you see some of the road being washed away. The engineer that we were speaking with the county said that this is something that she hasn't seen in quite some time, and honestly is one of the worst case scenarios.
You know what? This is again happening the same way how it happened after Matthew. We are losing a section of State Road A1A. So it's really bad for our community here, for Flagler County.
Again, you can take another look at some of these crews that are working away. As you can hear, the wind is still pretty persistent. Hopefully it dies down soon. And thankfully, this water didn't make its way across A1A over to some of the businesses and some of the homes that are here along the coastline. On scene in Flagler Beach, Nick Popham, Spectrum News.
And of course, you know the impacts of Nicole were not just here in Central Florida. They were all up and down the state at one point. Look at Lauderdale by the Sea. Video of the pier right there. This is a middle of the 60-year-old pier, and Hutchison Island was ripped away. Look at that. Absolutely incredible. Lauderdale by the Sea, the longest pier in South Florida. All right, in our coverage of Tropical Storm Nicole and the weakening system continues after the break, and we'll check in on things in South Daytona.
Spectrum News 13 is brought to you by DC Roofing and Marine Construction. Let us do your roof or dock right the first time.
Spectrum News 13 is committed to helping today's students become tomorrow's scientists through Project Weather. Congratulations to the 2022 scholarship winners for their dedication and achievement. We are now accepting applications for the 2023 Project Weather scholarships. If you're a high school senior who excels in science, head to our website to find out how to apply. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.
If you're waiting for a sign that it's time to finally tackle that window project, here it is. Renewal by Anderson's incredible Window Replacement Days. Get all the benefits of Renewal by Anderson's exclusive and easy replacement window process. And save a lot of money while you're at it. An immediate design consultation, exclusive Fibrix composite material windows, and precise installation by highly trained certified master installers. You get it all during Renewal by Anderson's Window Replacement Days. Call Renewal by Anderson today and take advantage of this limited time offer and special financing.
My grandson and I enjoy playing basketball, and it had become a weekly thing. But I started noticing my vision was getting worse. Things looked cloudy, and sometimes I had double vision. I just wasn't able to play the way I used to. I went to Tress Vision, and they were able to restore my sight so I could get back to doing what I love.
At Tress Vision Group, formerly Brevard Eye Center, our mission remains the same. We fix your eyesight so you can fix your eyes on what matters most. Let us be your guide on the journey to better vision.
And this product here is 100% waterproof. You think you could use that?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, great. Well,
waterproof, pet-proof, kid-proof floors that fit your life at the guaranteed lowest price. Just one of the reasons Flooring America is where friends send friends.
Central Florida Beyond the Soundbite, a Spectrum News 13 podcast that offers a closer look inside the issues, available now on the Spectrum News app.
It is now 2:51 on a Thursday as the cleanup starts for some of us after Nicole brought with it some pretty good damage to spots. And eventually we're going to start pulling the wind down this evening and the rain out of here for what looks like a halfway decent Friday and a gorgeous weekend ahead, but we do have a cold front coming. By the way, I'm Brian Carrick. Thanks for tuning in. Mallory Nichols with me this afternoon as our team has been in continuous coverage of Tropical Storm Nicole. Live shot from Wyckoff Realtors Hallmark Property Skycam downtown. Over to Klystron 13 before we get into the latest on Nicole. I want to show you an exiting storm here. We'll circle its circulation that is offshore or near the coast here of Levy County, and rotating around it one last big band, and this band actually bringing some moderate rainfall to western Marion County. Still some lighter rain though, stretching from around Wildwood up through Bellevue, Ocala. If you're traveling the Marion County stretch here on I-75, you will encounter some wind-driven showers. Same thing with a couple of those showers passed very quickly through Lake Mary and Lake Monroe. A couple passing showers over Orlando, back through Windermere, and just sliding up over Paramore, Pine Hills, and then stretched over towards SeaWorld, Kissimmee, on down, it looks like, into the Poinciana and Solivita area. And these bands, again, accompanied by some gusty wind and just a quick passing shower. Okay, so this broad scoping storm here in Nicole, the cloud deck actually stretches all the way up to West Virginia. A little closer inspection, I mentioned it is sitting now up in the Big Bend, up northwest Levy County on the coast. Going to continue tonight. Looks like by dinner time just south of Tallahassee. By tomorrow morning, it will have come down in its speed and its wind. South of Atlanta is a tropical depression. Could make for some bumpy flights. If the airport is open, it's still closed in Orlando. By the way, winds currently sustained at 45, moving to the northwest at 15. Quick check across the rest of the Atlantic Basin. Nothing behind Nicole as we start to wind the season down. I know we were saying that a few weeks ago after Ian. Thought maybe that season would really be done, but Nicole, it was a historic November storm bringing us what it did in the form of some heavy rain in pockets and the intense coastal erosion that has occurred. The A1A washed out in spots. We've had several structures that have failed and gone into the ocean, others failing. Nicole exits tonight, by the way, but we're going to keep a couple of isolated showers through the overnight hours. Friday, most of us are dry, although we will have some spotty showers. Breezy. Overall, we'll call it pleasant temperature-wise. A few more peaks of sunshine. Passing showers. Rain coverage, though, tomorrow is only at 20%. So get rid of this system. Pull in some drier air. Notice the browns here in the mid and upper levels of our atmosphere. Same thing on Saturday, a dry pocket. And then here comes a cold front. This is Saturday night into Sunday, set to bring us some pleasant conditions. All right, I'm going to get back to that Friday forecast next hour. Your forecast here for the pollen, it's running low to moderate tomorrow, moderate on Saturday. Ragweed, grass, and elm, your problem pollens. Pollen forecast brought to you by Van Dingen and Law. 7-day forecast, rain coverage at only 20% for you tomorrow. We will pull that back to nothing on Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. Behind the front, high temperatures on Saturday and Sunday in the 70s.
All right, also this afternoon, we're checking in on what's happening on the other side of the state because, you know, the Tampa area saw some effects from Tropical Storm Nicole. Spectrum News 13's Josh Rojas has an update from Clearwater Beach.
Tropical Storm Nicole is sending a strong onshore wind here at Clearwater Beach. Take a live look over my shoulder, and you can see all the sand that it's pushing up against that seawall, and it's whipping up actually over the seawall. That gives you a real good visual of the wind that we're facing out here. But take a look over my other shoulder, and you can see the big waves out there in the Gulf of Mexico that this wind is also whipping up. Now, normally we're used to seeing that water nice and flat. Now, here's some video we shot earlier today of a guy who's visiting from Pennsylvania, and it's actually his birthday. And so he wanted to go out there and try to make the most out of it. So he actually waded out into that water, which of course is not recommended during a tropical storm. Now, we talked to the guy when he got out of that water. Take a listen. How was that?
Oh, it was great. I couldn't ask for anything better. Being from up north, being on the Gulf of Mexico in November on my birthday, I wouldn't change it for the world.
How far did you get in the water?
About knee deep.
Knee deep? Was
Yeah.
it cold or warm? Or?
No, it was warm.
Water was warm.
Oh yeah, great water.
You didn't want to go any further though, huh?
No, not with the pants on. If I'd have had shorts on, might have went out a little further.
Happy birthday.
Thanks, guys.
So what's interesting is that water in the Gulf of Mexico is much warmer than the rain that's coming down now. Mixed with that wind, it's actually chilly out here right now. And also, we talked to a City of Clearwater spokesperson who says there are some down power lines and some scattered tree limbs, a few traffic signals that are out, but otherwise, spokesman Rob Shaw says there's nothing of major consequence to report, so that's good news as Tropical Storm Nicole moves through our area. I'm Josh Rojas, Spectrum News. Back to you.
Good afternoon, Central Florida. Here's what's happening in our community, brought to you by the expert injury attorneys at Todd Minor Law.
Proudly celebrating 25 years as part of the Central Florida community. Spectrum News 13, exclusively on Spectrum.